am Step.
I'm Tams.
And this is Card Advantage, and we are back after a sizable hiatus. I have been wrecking people by channeling Emrakul in Cube. Tams has been happily burning people out with her general... Who's your general?
General?
Keranos.
Oh.
And now we are back for our long-awaited first set review for Oath of the Gatewatch.
I can't believe it's here already.
I know. So this is our first set review, but we've been meaning to do this for a while, and this is the set that we're finally jumping in on. So this is going to be a limited set review. We are limited players primarily, and we wanted to rate the cards in that view. Specifically draft, because sealed, team sealed, and sealed league are a little different. Also, this is the first Magic set that has been specifically designed for two-headed giant, but we're going to focus mainly on single-player draft, because that's how most people are going to play this set.
Yeah, though I can't promise that I'm not going to say, ooh, that's going in my standard deck.
Yeah. So, I guess we'll just jump right in.
Are we going to explain how we're going to do things?
Sure, yes. We played around with a few different ideas as far as ratings, but everyone pretty much knows the A to F rating system that has been popularized by limited resources.
Yeah.
So since that's sort of the context that people understand, we're going to stick with those ratings. Although there are a couple of cards that I would say are specifically sideboard only cards, so
Yeah,
when that
of course,
comes out,
build around me, stuff like
build
that.
around, yeah. But for the most part, it's going to be A through F. A's are absolute bombs. They will win the game on the spot if you're ahead. They will bring you ahead from behind when you're losing, that sort of thing.
They make you want to plan that color.
Yeah, B's specifically make you want to play the color. You open a B or you get past a B and you're like, this color might be open. And that's sort of a signal. C's are the majority of your deck, the bread and butter of limited. Things like 2/2s for 2 and efficient but not over the top removal spells like shock, things like that. And D's are things that you really don't want to play. You would be unhappy if it made your deck, but sometimes you have to play them. These are things like 1/4s, period, or things like that, or 2/2 for 2 with a downside, maybe something like that. What was the Lava Bear? The from Fate Reforged or Dragons of Tark here. It was a 2/2 that when it died, it dealt 2 damage to you. That's a classic D. And Fs are basically unplayable under all circumstances. These may be bad build-around cards or cards that just really don't work in limited. Things like the Dragon Tutor from Dragons of Tark here.
Yeah.
If you have a dragon in your deck, you don't need to play a tutor to go get it, because if you draw the dragon and then draw the tutor, it's a completely dead card. Things like that. So, without further ado...
We are going to be presenting the cards in a slightly different way, though.
Are we?
Most people just go through each of the colors, but we're doing it a little different.
That's true. So, this will be our creatures only review. And then tomorrow, you'll be able to find our non-creatures and lands review. We figure creatures is a good place to start in limited, because that's going to be, again, the majority of your deck. And it's the most consistent way to win the game, damage the opponent, and affect the board, is by playing creatures. Also, once you know what the creatures are, that puts the removal in a better context, because you'll know what they can and can't kill. Or the build-arounds, you'll know if there's a warrior sub-theme like there was in Cons of Tarkir, or a soldier sub-theme like there was in, I'm going to say M14, although it wasn't really supported. So once we have the creatures figured out, we can put the rest of the set in that context.
And we're going to be moving from common to mythic, correct?
Well, the commons and uncommons are sort of going to be
Together.
And then after that, we're going to do the rares and mythics in the same color.
So we have more of a context for them.
Right.
That's good, yeah.
So
Sounds
we're going to
good.
start with white.
All right, let's jump right in.
All right. Okay. So here we have our first common. Atha Protector is 2 and a white for a 1/4 with vigilance. What do you think?
No thanks. I think it's fine as a sideboard card if you really need to.
Well, I more just put it as a D. This is the D that I was talking about. A 1/4 with vigilance is going to affect the board, definitely. It blocks fine.
Yeah.
But it's not doing enough.
No, it is an ally, so that could have some...
That's true. It is a human soldier ally.
So that could have some ramifications. And I'd be not fine, but I would bring it in out of the sideboard if I need a little more time to get to the end game.
Or if they have a lot of X1s or
Yeah.
whatnot. Yeah.
But I'm not going to... Certainly not first picking it, and I don't really want to main deck it as of this moment.
So I'm just going to put it at a D.
All right.
Expedition Raptor.
Ooh, it's a bird.
3 white for a creature bird. 2/2 with flying. So this is a 5-drop 2/2 flyer.
Which I'm not crazy about, so tell me more.
Well, when it enters the battlefield, support 2. And support is a mechanic that you see in white in this set.
This is the first of the new mechanics.
Yes. So when you support, when it enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 other target creatures.
Now the other part is important, so you're not supporting, if you drop this by itself,
Then it's just a 2/2 flyer.
which is bad for 5.
Yeah, it's not great. I mean, it is still going to do damage to your opponent.
Well, sure.
But I'm guessing at 5 mana, if you don't have another creature, you're probably behind.
I want a 3/4 flyer for 5, not a 2/2.
Well, even a 3/3 would be...
Yeah.
That's the going rate, right?
Yeah.
But if you do curve out, let's say you do even 3-drop, 4-drop into this, then each of those creatures gets a boost, and you can attack with them right there.
Yeah.
I like support okay as a mechanic. I think support 1 and 2 is going to be better than support 5 or 6, because you're very likely to have 2 creatures on the board in limited. You're not as likely to have 5 or 6 creatures.
That's true.
If that makes sense.
Yep.
So, what do you give it?
Depends when it comes down, It's fine. I think it's going to be pretty good if you have creatures on the field, and I mean, let's face it, you hope you're going to have creatures on the field.
Yeah, at least another creature. Even if you have one other creature, you're getting 3 power and toughness, which is the going rate for a 5-drop flyer. So I put it at a C+, because I think you are going to be able to support fairly often. I don't think it's any higher than that for me.
No, me neither.
But that may change if we find out that the tempo of the set is different than I expect.
Yeah.
Okay. Core Scythe Master is our next common. And actually, was that a common or an uncommon? That was a common. Core Scythe Master is a 3/1 for 3 that core soldier ally, and it has first strike as long as it's attacking.
I personally, as an aggro player, really like this card.
Yeah.
It's an ally.
You're on the Core Scythe Master train?
Yeah, I like it so far. Anyway, I mean, we'll see. Opinions are subject to change.
Yeah.
But at first glance, I mean, it's an ally. It is a 3/1, so it's fairly aggressive to start with. And that first strike, if it's attacking, you take out their 3/3s, you take out their 2 whatevers, 2/2s. I like it fine.
Okay, so maybe I've been spoiled by Oreskos Swiftclaws and whatnot. 3/1s for 2. But I think this guy's okay. I don't think he's amazing.
Did the Swiftclaw have first strike? No, right?
No.
That's why.
No, you're paying the extra mana for first strike, which is fine. And he is an ally. So he attacks as... because he has first strike, he attacks as a 3/3, basically. And he blocks basically the same way. Like, he'll trade with something that has 3 toughness. But I don't think he's amazing. I just put him at a straight C.
I gave him a C+.
Okay.
It's to be seen whether the ally thing in limited is going to be a factor.
Because it hasn't been up to this point, but...
Well, my ally standard deck... Well, not in limited, anyway. But in standard, he will fit nicely in my deck. But we'll see in limited. But so far, we've seen 2 ally creatures, the first 2 out of the hopper.
That's
the
true.
first one and the third one. So
that's true.
We shall see.
I think allies are getting a little bit of a boost. And I think it's going to be reasonable to expect that there's going to be an ally deck. Especially if green is better than it had been.
Yeah, we're going to find out about that
We're
soon.
going to find out.
Yeah. So anyways.
Core Sky Climber.
Hey, look, it's an ally.
Is another core soldier ally at common. It's a 3/2 for 3. 2 and a white. And those are stats that I like a little better. I know the first strike on the other guy means that the 1 toughness really doesn't matter, but 3/2 for 3 is sort of more where I want to be. And it's got the ability, 1 and a white, core Sky Climber gains flying until end of turn.
That's kind of cool.
So I really like this guy.
So it comes with an onboard Mighty Leap. Well, without the plus.
Yeah, basically. It comes with an onboard jump.
Yeah.
Old card, single blue for target creature gains flying until end of turn. But so the core are kind of interesting creatures.
I kind of like that art. It's quite nice. The colors.
Yeah, they're very cliffhanger kind of people.
I know what you mean. They're very aerobatic.
Aerobatic, as opposed to acrobatic. Yeah.
Like that?
Well, yeah. So I think paying 2 to give it flying is not unreasonable. I think that's what was it? Leaping Master in Khan's block. We ran sometimes.
Yeah.
And it was okay. So I gave Core Sky Climber a C+.
Yeah, I can see that. He's perfectly acceptable as a 3/2 for 3. She. Oh, it is a girl too. I'm not that close to the screen. But every once in a while, or whenever you have that mana to suddenly make it evasive.
Yeah, and if you're in a board stall, that could really help.
Yeah, for sure.
Really matter. It also makes it better in the late game than a regular 3/2 for 3.
I'm going to be interested to see how it performs.
Yeah. All right. McKindy Aeronaut, hey, look at you, is another core scout ally. It's a 1/3 for 2, for 1 and white, with flying. So, not quite a horned turtle.
It's okay.
But a flying...
It's okay.
Yeah, this is less good than, say, a 2/2 for 2. Of course, you wouldn't get a 2/2 for 2 with flying.
Yeah.
That's, 2/2 for 3s usually have flying. But I don't like this one as much. 1 damage to the opponent just isn't as useful. But
I'd probably run one to fill up.
Yeah.
Your random slots.
I'd give it like a D+ or a C- or something. Like, I don't really expect to run too many of them.
Yeah.
Because I choose creatures early that I like.
I have a tendency to draft evasion, like white-based evasion decks. And I love my flyers. And if there's something that, bear in mind, the mechanic we just saw, suddenly this becomes a lot better.
Support, that's true. If you support this even once, then it's a 2/4 with flying, which is better.
I would probably
than a
give this
spider.
guy a C. I probably want to run him
Okay.
in the deck that he wants to be in.
In the deck that he wants to be in. Sure.
And it's not a crazy deck either. I don't think it's going to be that difficult to build this deck.
No, I think you're right, especially at 2 mana. If this is your 2-drop, that's probably better.
And he's got a big bum. Well, not big, but
Sizable.
medium-sized bum.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on.
On to War Cleric.
Now that's a face.
That is a face. Looks like he's taken after Gideon. Taking Gideon's lead. So this is a 2/2 for 2.
That's G Junior.
Gideon Junior. This is a 2/2 for 2. This is a bear. So bears are
perfectly fine.
Usually C minus on their own.
Yep.
And then this has the first instance of a new mechanic in white, Cohort. Cohort says tap this creature and an untapped ally you control, and you get an effect. In this case, you gain 2 life. It's a cleric effect.
So allies are going to be a thing.
Yeah.
We'll see. But they seem to be setting it up.
I don't like Cohort as much as I like support, even though it's a repeatable effect. Mm-hmm. You have to tap 2 creatures to do it. True,
but you can also tap a creature that you've dropped that is summoning sick.
That's true, but you still have to tap this guy.
True.
And 2/2s for 2 aren't really usually what you leave up to block. So you want to be swinging with it if you can.
Well, the gain 2 life thing doesn't do much for me anyway, but I'm going to assume that there's going to be more Cohort. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to reserve my judgment on the mechanic at large.
Okay.
Because there could be something a lot more interesting, but...
having said all that, he's still a 2/2 for 2 with upside, which means that he's totally playable. And, I don't know, I think he's a C+.
Yeah, I would say he's a C.
A C?
Sitting around there somewhere.
All right.
Oh, look, it's Draft Cat.
Hey, Draft Cat. Haven't seen you in a while. Okay, on to an uncommon. Ooh. Relief Captain. 2 white for a 3/2. It seems like we're getting a lot of similar power and toughnesses so far. Mm-hmm. Core Knight Ally. Another ally. The only one that hasn't been an ally was the bird.
Yep.
Which is interesting. So a 3/2 for 4 is a little sub-rate. 3/3
so it must do
for
something,
4,
right?
Yeah. So when it enters the battlefield, support 3.
Ooh. So that's for a little later in the game?
Well, even... Yeah. But even if you drop it, say you drop a 2/2 and then a 3/2 for 3, and then this guy on turn 4.
That's pretty good.
You're getting support 2 out of it, mm-hmm. and that's still fine. That's still okay. And then if you do have a board stall or whatever, he makes 3 of your creatures better, so that's good. What he's not good at is getting you ahead when you're behind. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. He's okay. I guess I'd put him at a straight C again. Mm-hmm. I think I'd probably not pick him highly personally, but
I'm probably going to go a little higher and give him a C+.
Yeah?
Because he's an ally.
Okay. Again, with the ally, we'll have to see how much that matters. In white, there are a lot of allies we've seen so far.
Now let's take a moment to pause right here and take a look at what he's riding. That is badass.
I believe that's a Baloth.
That's awesome.
Although it does remind me of Krushoks from Tarkir.
Mm-hmm. So, anyways, you can move on.
All right.
I just like the art. It's interesting.
All right, back to the commons. We've got Spawnbinder Mage, which is a 2/4 for 3 and a white. Human Wizard Ally. Ooh. I really like the art on this one.
It's beautiful.
Sort of walking through a forest of Eldrazi spawns. Mm-hmm. And she's also got Cohort. Her Cohort is tap target creature.
Yeah, that's more what I'm talking about.
I think that's really good.
Mm-hmm. And this is at common?
This is at common.
Okay.
So base rate of a 2/4 for 4 is okay, not great. Mm-hmm. She's good to support onto, though, because if you get her up to a 3/5, that's pretty good.
Pretty sizable.
The problem is she's got good blocking stats at 2/4, but you can't block with her and tap something down pre-combat.
Yeah.
So you're tapping 2 of your creatures to tap one of their creatures.
However, with her bigger bum, she's less likely to be removed as quickly. So you can hold on to your tapper.
That's true. You do need 2 creatures. So what I see this tap ability being used for mainly is large Eldrazi. I would love to have one of these in my deck if my opponent dropped an Ulamog.
Yeah.
Or a Breaker of Armies.
It's great in my evasion deck that I want. If they have that 1 flyer to my, 5, I can tap down their 1 flyer and get right through it.
So what do you think?
C.
Yeah.
Bordering on C+, but
okay.
C.
I'm still gonna go C-. I just think the tap ability is really situational, and it's not what aggressive decks want to do. It is fine in late game to hold on until you can draw an answer to finish your opponent, but I don't know. I may be wrong on this one.
However, I would like to point something out.
Yeah?
Oh, never mind. I just answered my own question. Keep going.
Okay. Step Glider is a 2/4 for 5, 4 and a white. It's an uncommon elemental creature. It's got flying and vigilance. So that's already okay. A 2/4 flyer is going to get in the air fairly easily. And then with vigilance, it can also block just about anything.
Yeah.
And then it's also got an ability.
Ooh.
1 and a white, target creature with a +1/+1 counter on it gains flying and vigilance until end of turn.
I totally want to build the deck.
Yeah?
It's the deck
The
with
support
the support
deck?
and the fly. And yeah.
Yeah, I think this is pretty strong.
I like it a lot, actually.
Yeah? What, now, do you think that it goes in the ally deck, not being an ally?
I don't know.
I think it could fit there okay.
It's going to lift them off the ground.
Yeah, one at a time.
Yeah.
But it's also, I think it's just sort of good value. Its base stats are not great value, but they are okay.
Yeah.
So I gave it a C+.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yep, seems solid.
All right. Here we have our first devoid creature. Devoid is... no, I'm sorry. This is in the wrong spot. Have to come back to that one later.
Oh, he got moved about.
He got jostled. Okay. Stoneforge Acolyte is a 1/2 for a single white, and he's a core artificer ally.
He's okay.
He's okay.
He does
He's not-
something?
Yeah, I think actually a 1/2 for a single white is fairly bad on its own, because it's just not doing enough.
It's better than a 1/1 for 1.
I'm sure. But he's also got the cohort ability, so tap, an untapped ally. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal an equipment card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order.
Okay.
Okay, so I have looked ahead to the equipment, and there's a couple of interesting ones at uncommon or rare, but nothing that really drives me to put a 1/2 for 1 in my deck.
And was there anything from Zendikar that you would... Because we're going to have 1 pack of Zendikar.
Battle for Zendikar?
Yeah.
No.
I don't ever remember running equipment.
People liked Slabhammer. I didn't. I didn't care.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I'm
this
gonna
guy
have to
doesn't.
give him a D.
This guy doesn't do much for me.
Maybe a
either.
D minus.
Yeah.
He's not doing enough.
Yeah.
All right, moving right along. Wall of Resurgence is 2 and a white for a creature wall at uncommon. So walls always have defender.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an 06. What do you think of that?
If you're running a deck that needs a wall, it seems like an okay wall.
We played an 06 for 2 in Battle for Zendikar, and that was actually really good in the white-blue Flyers deck.
It was.
Okay, so
does this do something else?
Boy, does it.
All right.
When Wall of Resurgence enters the battlefield, you may put 3 +1/+1 counters on target land you control. If you do, it becomes a 0/0 elemental creature with haste that's still a land.
So you're getting an 06 and a 3/3.
Yup.
Oh, baby, come to mama.
So if you drop this on, say, turn 4, you get an 06 and a 3/3, and you can immediately swing with it. Now you're setting yourself back a land drop. Just like with any of the Awaken spells, there is a cost, but this is the first proof I have that this is still going to be an 18 land format, even maybe 19 land. 18-19 is where people have been sitting for Battle for Zendikar. I really like this guy. I think it's just it's neat, and it's good.
Mm-hmm.
So, where do we put it? I like it enough. I want to give it a B+.
I would give him a B.
I think he's really efficient.
Yeah.
Like super efficient. Maybe that's a little high, but I really like it. So B+ for me.
I ran a lot of those decks that you were talking about.
The blue-white Flyers. Yeah, they're kind of your thing, even when they're not supported.
Yeah. Watching people's faces as you drop an 06, they're like, oh, God.
Because now I have to deal with that. Except now you have to deal with that, and I'm hitting you for 3.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's definitely in the deck that I like.
This actually reminds me, in a weird way, of Coral Barrier from M15.
Oh, that came down with the...
It was a 1/3, and it came down with a 1/1 squid, but
yeah.
This is quite a bit stronger than that. All right. So that's it for the white commons and uncommons.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Doing it this way really shows you how many creatures you actually get to play with.
Sure.
It's not as many as people would kind of think. But at common and uncommon in white, let's see, there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 creatures with 3 toughness or less, and 1, 2, 3, 4 creatures with 4 toughness or more.
And the majority were allies. There was an elemental, there was a bird, and there was a wall that were not allies. The rest were all allies. But it looks like 3 toughness is sort of where you want your removal to sit, at least. So that's interesting. Anyway, moving along to the rares and mythics. Our first one is the first Devoid card that I was so excited for. This is the first Devoid card in white. It's the only Devoid card in white. It feels really misplaced because they don't normally get that.
Well, the allies are losing the battle, so even white is falling to the Eldrazi.
Yeah.
But this one is really, really good. 2 and a white for an Eldrazi, 3/3 Devoid.
Okay, you have me right there.
Yeah. 3 mana,
3/3 for 3 is perfectly fine.
Totally. And in an aggressive deck, even good. You know? Now, this ability is just nuts. 2 and a colorless. So I'm going to call this Devoid mana. I know it's technically just colorless mana, but it's a new differentiation between colorless mana and generic mana.
Now, what is the general public? Because I have been, in my head, going to generic and a colorless mana. Is how I've been kind of saying it in my head.
That's how it's going to work.
And we should briefly explain for those who don't know. There was so much kerfuffle when this first was
Yeah, okay.
dropped.
So
It's pretty simple, though.
it used to be that you would say any land could tap for colorless. What's really happening there is, like, if you've got, say, a plains, it taps for a white. It always and only taps for a white. And when you use that white, you can use it to pay a white cost or a generic mana cost. So anything that has a number in the circle.
Yeah.
What this is saying now is this little diamond is colorless specific mana. So anything throughout history that has generated colorless mana can be used to pay this cost.
But only the triangular colorless, not the in the circle with the number.
No. In the circle with the number is, if it's generating that mana, that has now been errated to saying colorless. So any of the unknown shores, things like that from previous sets that tapped for colorless can be used to pay this cost.
So colorless is a 6th mana type.
Mana type, yes. It's not a color, but it is a type, and that shows itself out in... That's always been in the rules. It now shows itself out in the way they're wording things, because you can't generate colorless with things that add mana of a color that land produced, because it didn't produce. Colorless isn't a color. If it says of a type that land produced, then you can generate colorless mana.
Because what we're looking at right here is 2 in a circle and the triangle. So the 2 in the circle, they're asking for any
2
colored.
generic.
Yes. So but
Colored or colorless.
Yes. So, but the other one is the triangle is colorless only, which we've seen in the spawns.
Yep.
You can use spawns to produce it. There's a land.
You can
or
use...
2.
Oh, there's plenty. And any of the Blighted cycle from Battle for Zendikar also produces colorless.
Cool.
Any of the... what do you call them? Pain lands from Corset also produce
But that's
colorless.
not going to be relevant to limited right now.
No.
All right.
So, what does this crazy ability do? Exile another target creature. Then return it to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control.
Wow, that's a flicker effect.
That is a flicker effect on steroids.
That is so amazing.
You can do it instant speed. You can do it as many times as you can pay for it in a turn. It doesn't tap this creature. It's an activated ability rather than an enter the battlefield ability or whatever. So you can do this anytime, as many times as you can pay for it. And where usually flicker effects return the creature to the battlefield, period, this returns them tapped. So it can't give your creatures quasi-vigilance, but it can be used as a tapper.
Yep.
To tap down your opponent's creatures.
It can be used to avoid removal, like indestructible.
Absolutely. It can be used to reuse enter the battlefield effects.
Oh, yeah.
It can be used to steal back things that have been stolen from you. It's just...
It's so good.
This is my favorite card in the set, period, because I really love tappers like this.
Flicker effect?
Flicker effects like this. That being said, it doesn't do everything. It is still 3 toughness, so a lot of removal hits it, but whatever. This card is just...
bonkers.
Yeah. I want to give this an A+.
I was going to say, I'm going to step right up, and I'm giving it a straight up A, no matter what.
An A? Yeah, well, it's definitely an A. I want to give it an A+. I just like it a lot.
Yeah.
I think the versatility is phenomenal.
I don't think you're going to get better.
That being said, you do need to have colorless mana sources in your deck. And what that's going to act like is basically a splash of another color. Because you're going to have some way of generating specifically colorless mana. You can't just pay for it with a mountain or whatever.
But it's really good.
I just think it's amazing. All right, moving along. General Tazari is a 3/4. He?
Looks
Yes.
like a she. Is that not red hair scooping over the shoulder? Looks like a girl to me.
Okay.
Looks like she has
Well, she then is a human ally, legendary creature at Mythic.
okay.
So she's a 3/4 for 5, which is okay.
On the edge of okay.
Yeah, on the edge of okay, just on its own. She does come down and immediately block really well. But she's also got a couple of abilities. When she enters the battlefield, you may search your library for an ally card, reveal it, and put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. So she draws you a card.
Okay.
That itself is fine. Right?
Sure.
And probably a pretty good card, especially if you are running any of the rally mechanic from Battle for Zendikar. I think a common play, if I have that, is going to be go and get the thing that gives all your creatures menace.
No, it has to be an ally.
That is an ally.
Oh, is it? What are
Yeah,
you
it's a
talking
rally
about?
trigger.
Oh, I see.
When it enters the battlefield, give all creatures you control gain menace. And
Oh,
then
that guy.
play it the next
Yeah,
turn.
yeah. I know what you mean.
And that's just going to probably finish the game for me.
Yeah, that's gonna be yucky.
She's also got a Wooburg ability, white, blue, black, red, green. Ally creatures you control get +X until end of turn, where X is the number of colors among those creatures. So I don't think that's going to come up in limited at all.
It'll come up in our store from one particular individual. Morgan, I'm talking about you. I think it has some possibilities in standard play.
You know what? I think you're right. I think Morgan's going to first pick this and then get a Prism Array from his battle pack and go
all in
bonkers.
And he will have the luck of the Irish, and
He's
it
not
will
Irish,
work.
is he?
I don't
He should
think
be
so,
Irish.
but he is really great with multicolored decks, and he's going to stomp everyone with it.
Yeah.
But that is the exception, not the rule.
But yeah, that ability in limited and even in standard, I don't think that's going to be a thing. I think maybe in Commander.
I'm curious because there has been talk ever since the last set about a 5-color ally deck, and this could enable it a little more.
True.
There could be something there.
Maybe. So I think she's a straight up B. I think a 3/4 that draws you a card, which is where I'm putting this, and draws you a good card is a B.
Yeah. I
I
can see that.
I think it's efficient. I think it's good, but not game breaking. It will definitely help to stabilize you because you're dropping her and then dropping another creature next turn.
Yeah.
And, that's a good way to get ahead.
Yep. Seems okay.
All right. Linvala, the Preserver.
Ooh.
Linvala is a returning creature. This is a new card, though. She was the Keeper of Silence.
Yeah.
Now she is the Preserver. She's 4 white for a legendary creature angel at Mythic.
Goodness.
She's a 5/5 flyer.
A 5/5 for 6.
5/5 flyer for 6 is good.
Fine, yeah.
A 4/4 flyer for 6 is usually not great on its own, which is interesting because a 3/3 flyer for 5 is usually okay. But whatever. She's a 5/5 flyer for 6. She's got double white in the mana cost, which is something to keep in mind.
Yeah, for sure.
But when she enters the battlefield, if an opponent has more life than you, gain 5 life.
Okay.
And if an opponent controls more creatures than you, put a 3/3 angel creature token with flying onto the battlefield.
Oh.
So
I like
she
her.
picks you up when you're behind. Like nothing.
Like her.
And if you're not behind, then you don't really care about getting those things. A 5/5 flyer is going to close out any game that you're ahead in.
Yeah. I think that's why I like her, because she's really good everywhere.
I like the versatility.
Mm-hmm. And she's pretty.
She is pretty. I had her at a B plus, but I think I'm gonna go A minus. I think she's just.
Yeah.
She's that good.
Yeah, I'm with you, for sure.
I think she's definitely going to help in any of the game states that you're gonna want her in.
My love for flyers, I'm really hoping to open her at some point.
And she's not that tough to cast either.
No,
Double
she's
white
6.
is okay, and 6 is fine.
Yeah. Alright.
So, Munda's Vanguard. Munda was one of the rally creatures from Battle for Zendikar. This is his Vanguard. She's a 3/3 for 5, core knight ally at rare. And she's got cohort. Her cohort is put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control.
Oh.
So tap her, tap another creature, but for that cost, which is sizable, you do get a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. She's going to be fantastic in board stalls.
Sure.
She's going to come down and end of your opponent's turn, make all your creatures bigger. End of turn, make all your creatures bigger, and if that's not going to win you the game, then I don't know what is.
Yeah. For me, best case scenarioing, you want to have her and a couple of creatures. Pre-combat, you drop another ally instead of after combat, and you tap that, and then you +1 counter your guys. And
I don't like that as much because you also have to tap her, and I'd rather be swinging with my 3/3. You know?
Yeah. But I'm probably going to want to do that every turn if I can.
And let's say you're behind. 5 mana, get a 3/3. That's okay.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to do enough to affect the board, but it's not great.
No.
So, I don't know. I had her at a B minus. She might just be a B. A straight up B. She does enough when you're ahead. She does a little when you're behind. I don't think she's B plus for me, but what do you think?
I don't think so either.
So, B?
Yeah, if she were a 4/4.
If she were a 4/4, she'd be an A.
She'd be awesome.
Alright. Stonehaven Outfitter. This is a 2/2 for 2 at rare. 1 and a white. Core Artificer ally. So this is the second Artificer we've seen. And was the first one a rare or an uncommon? I think it was an uncommon. Equipped creatures you control get +1/+1. And whenever an equipment card you control... Sorry. Whenever an equipped creature you control dies, draw a card.
Nah, to me it's a 2/2 for 2.
Yeah, it's a 2/2 for 2. If I had her, I would look to be picking up some equipment, but no more than I would usually want in my deck, which is 1 to 2 pieces, and only if they're good. So, that being said, the floor on a 2/2 for 2 is fine.
Yeah, but for a rare, it's kind of a little...
She's a rare bear.
Meh.
Like,
yeah.
there's a rare bear in almost every set.
Yep.
I just put her at a solid C.
Yep,
like,
absolutely.
Straight C.
Me too.
If I open her, I'm going to be like, oh.
Boo.
Okay. Fine then. Okay, so that is it for white creatures. There are 2 other spells that I want to deal with in the creature camp, because they specifically make creatures.
Okay.
So starting with Oath of Gideon.
Okay.
This is an incomplete cycle. There's no black oath, but there's no black ally of the Gatewatch or whatever. So Oath of Gideon is 2 and a white for a legendary enchantment at rare. And when it enters the battlefield, put 2/1/1 white core ally creature tokens onto the battlefield. So you get 2 1/1s for 3 at sorcery speed. This is not Raise the Alarm. This is not whatever the 3 mana Raise the Alarm was. But it is okay.
Yeah. This is the guy that you open and you go, okay, I can look for some cohort maybe, and I get 2 1/1 allies that I can use to tap.
This
and,
is
you know,
the
whatever.
guy that I open Gideon and hope to get past because nobody else really cares that much.
Yeah.
Well, okay, that wouldn't happen. I hope to open Gideon in back 3.
Yeah. So essentially, it's a 1/1, 2 1/1s for 3.
Which is fine.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's not impressive, but it's fine. I think it's probably just a C.
Yeah.
It does have another ability, which deals with planeswalkers. That's not going to happen in Limited. If it does, then you're happy to pick this up.
You gonna read it?
Each planeswalker you control enters the battlefield with an additional loyalty counter on it. We'll talk about this more when we come to the non-creature set review.
Yeah.
But just making 2 1/1s for 3 is
Fine.
C minus, whatever. The last one is Allied Reinforcements.
Ooh, that's gorgeous art.
3 and a white for, again, a sorcery, so this is not raise the alarm. This happens on your turn. It can't be a surprise.
Yeah.
But you get 2 2/2s. They're allies, so they do trigger rally. They can be used for cohort.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're great targets for support.
Yeah.
2 2/2s for 4 mana.
So you're getting 4 power and toughness for 4.
Yeah.
Which is fun.
And it's at uncommon. I think it's good.
Yeah, looking at it as, 2 creatures.
I honestly think this is a B minus. I think getting 2 creatures is better than 1 at this rate, especially when it comes to things like support or cohort or rally triggers.
Yeah,
from the first
being
set.
that it's ally, it really is relevant. So yeah, it's pretty good.
I'd probably be happy first picking this card. I'd prefer something else, but I would take this first. Okay.
So what did you give it?
I give it a B minus.
Sounds good.
All right. So that was white. I think white looks fairly aggressive / tempo. I don't think there's much in white for control, other than the wall.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll really have to wait until we see the non-creature spells to figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
But I did like the creatures I saw.
Mm-hmm.
All right, on to blue.
Ooh, all right.
Ancient Crab is our first common. 1 blue for a 1/5.
No, thank you.
No, you don't want an Ancient Crab?
No.
Of
course, my brain immediately goes to what could you do with that thing?
Well, it blocks really well.
It does block really well.
Like, a 1/5 is almost better than an 0/6 in that it will take out X1s. So if you are doing the blue-white flyers thing, you'll pick one up. But I still put it at like D+.
Yeah, me too.
I don't
was
want
like,
one.
that's a D. Especially with double blue.
I think it is a D+ because, double blue, but in the blue-white flyer stack, it's okay.
Yeah, it's alright.
It's not what I want to cast on turn 3. I want to cast a 2/2 flyer on turn 3.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Do you know what I have noticed? That kind of seems to be the norm, though.
What's that?
With these cards that are just, okay playable, they give us really nice art.
Yeah.
It's like to make up for it.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
A lot of the worst cards have some of the best art.
Yeah,
Right.
it's pretty cool.
All right, moving right along. Blinding Drone. This is a Devoid. Devoid is big in blue.
Yeah.
Blue, red, and black have a lot of Devoid. Green, less so, but whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So 1 and a blue for a Devoid 1/3. And you can pay a colorless or a Devoid mana and tap it to tap target creature. So
Sure.
I think that's really good.
Yeah.
Tappers are good. This has a good body. Like 1/3 is fine for a defensive creature. I wouldn't want it over a 2/2 for 2, except as a tapper.
And you're only tapping one, unlike in white.
Exactly. And you're tapping it and a colorless mana. So you're going to want colorless mana for this deck, but you probably want that anyway. But I do really like that. I think it's probably a B.
Yeah?
In the deck that wants it, I think it's a B.
I'm gonna go with a C plus.
You're gonna go with a C plus?
Yeah.
All right. I just think cheap tappers are really good.
Okay.
All right. Cultivator Drone is another Eldrazi drone. It is a 2/3 for 3.
That's good.
I like 2/3 for 3s more than I probably should. I love what was it, the big frog from M15 in black and whatever. It's another devoid colorless creature, and you can tap it to add a colorless to your mana pool, but you can spend this mana only to cast colorless spells, activate an ability of a colorless permanent, or pay a cost that contains colorless. So it's a mana dork.
I quite like him. A 2/3 mana dork.
Mm-hmm. And I think rather than, we haven't gotten there yet, but the wastes, the new lands, I think these creatures like this are going to be worth more than just straight up wastes.
Because they're creatures when they're not needed for mana?
Right. So I actually like it quite a bit. That being said, it's not really... It's not like a bomb or anything.
No,
it's
I
still
think it's
just
a C plus. Yeah.
Totally. It's just a straight up C plus.
Yeah.
All right, uncommon.
Ooh.
Cyclone Sire. 4 and a blue for a 3/4 flyer.
Okay.
That right there, it's an elemental.
Count me
uncommon.
in, especially with the beautiful art.
Yeah. When it dies, you may put 3 +1/+1 counters on target land you control. If you do, that land becomes a elemental creature with haste.
Oh, I like him.
I wouldn't be surprised by this card at rare.
No, not. I'm shocked
or
that it's
even at mythic. Like,
I'm shocked that it's an uncommon.
Right?
Yeah,
I think it's seriously good.
Who does not like playing blue unless it's combined with blue flyers, blue white. Not that this wouldn't be, but this would make me want to go into blue.
Yeah, quite seriously, I think this is a straight up A.
I have to agree with you.
It helps you when you're behind. It helps you stay ahead. It stabilizes you. Even if it dies, you have the potential of getting a 3/3 creature out of it.
Yeah. And 4 is not a small backside.
No. And especially in the air. I just think that is an uncommon A, and those don't come around very often.
Yeah, he's pretty sweet.
Yeah. So that's one that I'm seriously going to consider first picking a lot. Especially, it's not double blue, it's single blue.
Yeah, that is
Just
something
really good. All right, Gravity Negator. Gravity Negotiator. 3 and a blue for a 2/3 flyer.
Another flyer in blue.
Devoid.
Oh, I'm getting excited.
So that's a little less good. Like, a 2/2 for 3 is good as a flyer. A 2/3 for 4 is okay. But when it attacks, you may pay colorless. If you do, another target creature gains flying until end of turn.
Ooh, that's really interesting.
Yeah. So in your blue-white beatdown deck, I think that's going to play a serious role.
That's a pretty cool little guy.
So what do you think? What do you give it?
I am probably going to give it a solid... like, I'm bordering between C and C+. It's going to be dependent on the deck. If I'm going straight up white-blue flyers, and I'm less likely to have...
something not flying.
Or colorless mana, then it's a 4-drop 2/3. And it's fine. It's perfectly fine.
2/3.
If it's going to go in a slightly different deck, I think it can get even a little bit better than that.
Okay.
But I would be happy with a C+.
I gave it a B-. Maybe that's high, but it's efficient and versatile.
It really is.
I think that it makes me want to play that color. I think that it leans me towards that. So, I don't know. We'll have to see.
Mm-hmm.
Joar Isle Avenger is a 3/3 for 5 flying.
Another flyer. Good gravy.
So 3/3 for 5 flying is sort of the base rate. It's not amazing, but it's straight up efficient and serviceable.
Yeah.
And this is the first instance of the surge mechanic. Surge is the mechanic in I think just blue and red.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the mechanic that really helps you out in team play, in two-headed giant, basically. Mm-hmm. Not team limited, like it doesn't work in say team sealed or a team draft, but in two-headed giant or Emperor Commander, I guess, it would work.
Explain what it is.
So, you may cast this spell for its surge cost if you or a teammate has cast another spell this turn.
And what's the surge cost here?
Its surge cost is 2 and a blue. So 2 and a blue for a 3/3 flyer is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not going to get that on turn 3.
No. Now here's the thing that I find interesting.
Okay.
Is that they've placed surge in the right in the is it combination?
Mm-hmm.
Now there isn't that I have seen a 1-drop red instant spell.
There are a few.
Are there?
There are a few. Well, there's one that I wouldn't normally play on its own. And there are a couple of cheap removal-esque spells.
Yeah. But you could see where this could be very good. You use your lightning bolt,
mm-hmm.
and then you cast it so that you're spending 4 mana to get a 3/3 and take out something. It's well placed in the possibility of
lightning
that.
bolt, yeah.
Yeah,
There's
lightning
no
bolt.
lightning
There's
bolt
no
in the
lightning
set,
bolt in
but
the set, but yeah.
even more to the point is anticipate. Anticipate into this. You're still spending 5 mana, but you're using 2 spells.
Yeah.
Which is more efficient. So in two-headed giant, this goes up quite a bit because your teammate casts something and then you just get to do this for 3. In single player limited, I think it's going to take a little bit of maneuvering to get the surge cost, but I think it's probably worth it.
Yeah, and I think it's going to depend on the card. You're going to have to evaluate it per card, not...
Yeah, and I'd put this at, I don't know, C+, B-.
C+.
C+.
Yeah.
Maybe B-. I don't know.
For me, it's a C+, because it's not going to make me, if I see that I'm not going to go, ooh, I'm going to hop into blue now. If
Fair
I'm
enough.
in blue, and I see this, I'm going to go, okay, that's perfectly fine. And if I just so happen to see stuff that will enable the surge, great.
Okay, I think that solidifies it at a B- for me.
Okay.
And it is a Sphinx. I don't know if I said that.
I don't remember.
It's a common, and that makes me very happy.
Yeah, that's actually kind of cool.
All right. Prophet of Distortion is single blue for a 1/2 with Devoid. So even if you wanted to cast this and then the Joar Isle Avenger, that would be another way of getting a better mana rate.
Yep.
But that would mean putting this in your deck, so let's see if it's worth it. 1/2 for a single mana we didn't like in white is the blue one any better. Devoid, 3 and a colorless, draw a card.
Meh. Oh, thank you.
I think you're wrong on that. I think this has sort of a loot feel, except it's better than that because it's just straight up draw a card.
Maybe. It's 4 mana.
It is 4 mana.
I guess later game it's okay.
But it's 4 mana for basically divination, because you're drawing a card and you didn't have to cast a card, didn't have to spend a card on it.
Yeah, I guess.
So you're getting free divinations.
I guess.
Or not free divination, but free half a divination, which is a divination if you don't have to spend a card on it, right? And I would play divination.
Okay. And it can help enable the surge, I guess.
That's not... Oh, just to cast it, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's other stuff that I'm going to want to put in my deck first. It's not so great on turn one that I immediately want to slam it, but it's actually better late game because you play it and then immediately draw a card.
Yeah, well, you have extra mana by then,
right?
So yeah.
So I put it at a C+, personally, because I just think that sort of efficient card draw, not super efficient, but it's efficient enough that I like it.
Yeah,
Where do you
I
want
get
to
you.
put it?
I'll put it at a C.
A C?
It's not as exciting for me, but bear in mind that also kind of points to our different play styles.
It's true. It doesn't beat down.
No.
All right, Thought Harvester, 3 and a blue for a creature Eldrazi drone. I haven't been good at saying the creature types in blue. It is a 2/4 flyer.
Ooh.
For 4, so
Okay.
that's straight up better than like a giant spider.
Yep.
And whenever you cast a colorless spell, target opponent exiles the top card of his or her library. So that doesn't do anything on its own, but if you have a couple of these, they're going to help out your processors in the Battle for Zendikar pack.
Yes.
In pack 3.
Very much so.
There are a few very, I keep using the word efficient, but I think it fits, ways of exiling cards to use processors. Like, let's say you have a processor, you cast it, you exile a card off of this thing, and then immediately put it back into the graveyard to process. That just seems really good.
Yeah.
And its base stats are really good.
Yeah.
Like a 2/4 flyer for 4 will get in. It'll block. It'll do what you want it to do.
That makes it a C+ for me right there. So.
Do you think that's a C+ right there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I put it a C+. It might be a B-. It might even be a B if you're in the processor.
If you can build that deck, yeah.
But C+ on its own, I think, is perfectly serviceable. All right, I believe we're on to the... oh no, we've still got an uncommon, or a common. So this is Umara Entangler, a Merfolk Rogue ally. Is this the first ally in blue?
And what does it cast for?
It's 1 and a blue for a 2/1, so a piker.
Okay.
It's basically a bear.
Now, what else does it do?
It also has what's now an evergreen mechanic of prowess. I like prowess.
I like prowess too.
This is not as good as what was the 2/1 flyer from Cons? It's been too long, but it is perfectly serviceable. I like it fine.
As do I.
I think C+. I think a piker is almost as good as a bear, and
Yeah, C++.
if you're casting non-creature spells, you get a little bit of a boost.
It's the right color for that, yeah.
Becomes a 3/2 on turn 3 if you can cast a non-creature spell, although I'd prefer to cast a creature spell. But like, yeah.
I would give it a C. If it were a flyer, it would go up to a C+.
Okay.
Because they're going to start dropping bigger things, and the prowess is just going to...
Yeah, it doesn't do that much.
Yeah.
But
it's fine.
fine.
It's nice and solid, and...
Alright, good. Now, on to the rares. Deep Fathom Skulker is a 4/4 for 6 devoid Eldrazi at rare. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card.
Yes, please.
Yup. I'm in for that. It doesn't have evasion, which hurts it, but oh look, it says 3 and a colorless, target creature can't be blocked this turn.
Oh, he's just... buckets of good.
And it doesn't say he can't be blocked, it said target creature.
Yeah.
Now, it's most likely to be him. I think this is the top of a curve in a tempo-ish deck, and then you keep sort of getting in past the defenses.
Sure.
If you have a big giant creature, you can make it unblockable and get in.
He's just...
So I think it's really nicely efficient.
I like him quite a bit.
Yeah. So where do you put it? It's a 4/4 for 6.
Which is fine.
It can draw you cards.
And whenever a creature, so it's any of your creatures,
Yeah.
I'm going to put him at a B+. He's just really, really good.
All right. I have him at an A- because I think he's that good.
Mm-hmm.
It's whenever a creature.
Yeah, any of my flyers.
And if you spend 8 mana to make 2 of your things unblockable, you're drawing 2 cards, and that is a divination for free.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Because you're paying to get the damage in and then drawing the cards for free. Mm-hmm. So I put him at an A-. He might even be higher than that.
Yeah, my constructed brain's already coming up with ideas to build decks around.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
He's pretty sweet.
All right. Dimensional Infiltrator is 1 in a blue for a 2/1. This is another piker. It's
Which
devoid.
Mm-hmm.
It's a flyer. So this one's a flyer.
I like him.
And it's got flash. And I love cards with flash, especially cheap cards with flash.
Cheap flyers.
You leave up 2 mana, and there aren't many 2 mana counter spells, but if you leave up 3 mana, at least you're only, you can leave up a counter spell or cast this end of turn, or cast it into combat and block with it, and just trade 1 for 1.
It's got something else though, doesn't it?
It does. So 1 and a colorless. Target opponent exiles the top card of his or her library. So that, again, feeds processors. And you can do that cheaply. If it's a land card, you may return Dimensional Infiltrator to its owner's hand. So if they're going to kill this, if you're chump blocking with it, you can then attempt to return it to your hand and then keep cycling it around. And because it's got flash, you can cast it at any time.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty good.
He's pretty fun.
I think it helps out a couple of different decks, and it's just, this is super efficient. Mm-hmm. 2 power flyer for 2 at instant speed is amazing. I gave it a B+.
Yeah, I'd give it a B.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. He's pretty sweet.
All right. Sphinx of the Final Word. This guy looks mean. It's a 7-drop. I think this is the first 7-drop we've had.
Yeah.
5 blue for a creature Sphinx at Mythic. It's a 5/5 flyer with hexproof that can't be countered.
Oh, that's gross.
And he's got another ability. Instants and sorcery spells you control can't be countered by spells or abilities. Now, the reason that it says by spells or abilities is that if a spell has an illegal target or a target doesn't exist, people say it fizzles.
Yeah.
But what actually happens is that the game itself counters the spell.
Yeah.
So they've just done this for Magic Online to get around logic loops.
Which is good.
Yeah, so basically, your opponents can't counter your instants, your sorceries, or this guy. So for 7 mana, you're getting a 5/5 flyer that can't be messed with.
If you can get the 7 mana, double blue...
Which I think we've seen we can in this set, or in Battle for Zendikar.
He's just gross.
I think he's super good.
Yeah.
He's exactly the kind of 7-drop I want. So, I think he's a solid A.
Yeah.
I think he just comes down and does exactly what you want. Even if they've got a big dumb Eldrazi, you can fly over their head with him. He'll close out games in a hurry.
If I see him, I'm going to grab him, yeah.
Yeah, he's first pick, definitely.
Now, he's expensive, but, as you said...
And blue is one of the colors that does get there.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
He's pretty sweet.
All right. So I believe that... Is that blue? Is there more blue?
No.
No. We're on to black.
All right.
Essence Depleter. 2 and a black for a 2/3. So a 2/3 for 3. Devoid. And you can pay 1 and a colorless. Target opponent loses 1 life, and you gain 1 life.
Okay. Sure.
Yep.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure. I like 2/3s for 3. And it's a gravy ability.
Mm-hmm.
So C+.
Yeah. I don't know if we're going to have the life loss, life gain deck like we saw in...
I think it's there. I think it's even better supported. We'll see as we go through black.
Because that would make it go up, in my opinion, a little bit more. Another way to...
I think it all depends on how much colorless mana is going to be an issue.
Fair enough, yeah.
But I don't think it's going to be that difficult.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see.
All right. Havoc Sower. 3 and a black for a 3/3. Devoid. That right there is fine. 1 and a colorless. Havoc Sower gets +2/+1 until end of turn.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
A 3/3 for 4 is fine. Occasionally being able to make it a 5/4 is fine. Even if you can't activate the ability, I think he's fine.
Yeah, I'd give him a C+.
He's just fine. Yeah,
I like him.
C+. Totally. Kozilek's Shrieker. 2 and a black for a 3/2. I like 2/3s. I like 3/2s even better. Devoid. And for a colorless, Kozilek's Shrieker gets +1/+0 and gains Menace until end of turn.
Interesting.
I like that it's a single mana to do this. That I find if I've got a single mana ability, it helps me use my mana more efficiently every turn, because I can sort of fill in gaps where I can't really use all my mana. And having a 4 power menace creature is just really good.
Yeah, and if this is in a dedicated deck that's built around colorless mana, if you happen to get it in there, he could be quite a pain in the neck to deal with.
Yeah. So he's also in the running for best flavor text in the set. Listen to the sound of defeat.
Ooh. Yeah.
So I think just in any deck, he's a C+.
Yep.
In a dedicated aggro colorless deck,
he goes up
he
a bit
goes
from there.
up.
Yeah, I agree.
Kozilek's Translator.
Interesting art.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. Some of the Eldrazi, as stark as they are really beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So this is 4 and a black for a 3/5. So this is the 5 mana 3/5 for the set, or one of them.
Okay.
It's Devoid, and you can pay 1 life to add a colorless to your mana pool. And as soon as I saw that, I thought, oh boy, but activate this ability only once each turn. So that's okay. You don't have to tap him, which is great, to generate the colorless.
Yeah, because he can still block.
He can still attack or block.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you attack with him and the other guy. You're attacking for 7, giving the other guy menace. And, you know, like, I think this is fine. I think it's a little better than a vanilla. Well, I think it's a lot better than a vanilla 3/5 for 5. It's maybe not the flashy, but if you need colorless mana, I think this is one of the better ways to get it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to give it a C+.
Yeah, I'll jump on board that.
Okay. Malakir Soothsayer.
Ooh.
We have another sexy vampire.
Indeed.
Vampire Shaman ally.
Okay.
And she's 4 and a black for a 4/4.
Okay.
So 4/4 for 5, totally fine.
Yep.
She's got Cohort, and her Cohort ability is you draw a card and lose 1 life.
Sure. In black?
I think that is fantastic.
Yeah.
I think that will help you in board stalls.
Mm-hmm.
I think that will help you close out games if you're ahead, either just swinging for 4 or drawing cards to keep yourself going.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're behind, she's a 4/4. So she does enough to affect the board that that you're probably going to be in a better position.
Yeah, I like her quite a bit.
What do you give her?
A B minus.
A B minus?
Yep. She's an ally.
Okay. I have her at A minus. I think maybe that's a little high, but I really like repeated card draw.
Yeah, maybe a solid B.
Maybe a solid B.
You're right. There's not a lot of card draw in black, and if I would probably pair this sort of card, if I'm going to color pair it with white, chances are, and there's not a lot of card draw
With
in
white or with blue,
Yeah.
where there is card draw, but
Yeah.
still. Maybe even with red.
Yeah. Well, I'm picturing her in a white-black ally deck.
Where you're gaining life and then you can pay life. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm at A minus. You're at a B.
I will say B.
Sounds good. Null Caller is a 2/4 for 4. Without any abilities, that's okay. But this one has 3 and a black. Exile a creature card from your graveyard. Put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield, tapped.
Okay.
So that's at instant speed, and you don't have to tap this creature. So if you have creature cards in your graveyard, you're generating value off of them. I think that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I think a 2/4 for 4 is not exciting, but fine. C+.
Yeah.
Reaver Drone is a 2/1 for black. It's an Eldrazi drone. It's devoid. And at the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life unless you control another colorless creature.
Blech.
So a 2/1 for 1 isn't that much better than a 2/1 for 2.
No.
And losing 1 life is relevant,
Yeah.
especially if you don't have a colorless 2-drop.
Yep.
That being said, it's going to be easy enough to trade this guy off or get in for 2 because your opponent doesn't want to block it so that you keep losing life. I don't know. It's just okay, not great. I put it at C minus.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I really have no particular interest in running him, but if I need...
Maybe even D plus. Like, I think he's better than a D. He's better than I don't want to run him.
Yeah.
But
in a really aggressive deck,
in a super aggressive deck, he's good. Maybe.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, he's just...
I'm not going to cry if I don't open him.
Yeah. Or pick him at any point during the draft.
Mm-hmm.
Sky Scourer is 1 and a black for a 1/2 devoid flyer.
Okay.
Okay. Whenever you cast a colorless spell, it gets +1/+1 till end of turn.
+1/+0.
+1/+0, excuse me. So it's a situational 2/2 flyer.
For 2.
I would rather pay 3 to get a 2/2.
Yep.
Just flyer all the time. Yeah.
I guess if you have that dedicated colorless deck, but...
C minus, like, I just don't really care. D plus.
D. Yeah, I really don't care.
You're at a D.
A 1/2 flyer.
Yeah, like, there's just better stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so D. Slaughter Drone is a 2/2 for 2.
Okay.
It's a bear.
It's fine.
Black bears generally have a downside, or they did in the past. It's devoid. And instead of a downside, we get colorless. It gains death touch until end of turn.
Ooh.
So that's really good. Situational death touch is just one of the better abilities, especially on small creatures. It's not as good as actual Death Touch, but it's still fine.
Mm-hmm.
I put him at a C+, because he's just a 2/2 for 2, and maybe he takes out a big Eldrazi later.
Yeah, he's a C. He's okay.
Really, just a C?
Yeah.
Alright.
Because you have to be in a deck that has colorless mana, otherwise he's just a bear.
Yeah. And that's the question. How easy is it going to be to get colorless mana?
Yeah, we're not going to know that until we start playing.
On the other hand, you play him turn 2 regardless and just trade him off whenever. Like,
Yep.
You don't need the colorless mana for him to be an effective card.
Yep. And he's a funny looking little fella.
He is. They often are. Alright, Vampire Envoy
Ooh,
is
she's
a
pretty.
1/4 flyer for 2 and a black.
Okay.
Whenever she becomes tapped, you gain 1 life. So,
Not sure how I feel about her.
I think she's there specifically for one purpose, and that is to activate Cohort.
Yep.
I think if you're the Cohort deck, you're going to want this quite a bit.
Oh, she'll be pretty sweet.
I think if you're not the Cohort deck, you don't care.
Yeah.
That being said, she swings for 1 in the air, so she can pick your opponent to death very gradually. She's 4 toughness in the air, so she'll block just about anything, even if it's just a chump. She blocks really well, though.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever she becomes tapped for any reason, you gain 1 life, and that goes right in the black-white ally deck.
Mm-hmm.
So, that all being said, I just put her at a C.
Yeah. I'll be interested to see after the set's been playing and we revisit everything.
I think she's probably a little worse than that, but if the Cohort deck is a thing,
Mm-hmm.
then she's a high pick in that deck.
Yeah.
Alright. Zulaport Chain Mage is 3 and a black for a 4/2. I like those stats, okay?
I like 4/2s generally.
Human Shaman Ally,
Okay.
and the her Cohort ability is target opponent loses 2 life.
Okay.
So I like this quite a bit because early game or with no resistance, she gets in for 4.
Yep.
She can trade up, down, or sideways, so she trades very easily. But if you're at a board stall, you can just keep picking 2 life off of your opponent every turn,
Yeah.
and that's going to force them to act.
Yeah, she's kind of neat.
I habitually undervalue these cards because I don't like 4/2s and 4/3s personally, but I understand that I'm wrong on that. So I gave her a solid C, but she's probably higher than that.
Really? I was thinking of B-.
B minus.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we're gonna see who's right on that one.
We shall see.
Probably you.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Okay. Now we are on to the rares.
Ooh.
Bearer of Silence is 1 and a black for a 2/1. Another piker. Devoid. Flying.
Oh, sure.
And it can't block. But at a 2/1, I don't really want to block with it.
Yeah.
So 2 power flyer for 2 is quite good.
Okay.
Also has an ability, when you cast a Bearer of Silence, you may pay 1 and a colorless. If you do, target opponent sacrifices a creature.
Ooh.
Yeah. So,
Ooh.
I'm not going to hold this in my hand if I have it on turn 2.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to drop it and swing. But, if I draw it late, then paying 4 for a 2 power flyer and an edict is
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah, it really is.
So I like Bearer of Silence quite a bit. I'd put it at a B minus.
Yeah.
It's probably higher than that. I don't know.
It's pretty good.
What do you put it at?
Well, I'm best case scenarioing it. You know, you come up against the blue deck that has only just dropped that 7-drop hexproof, and because this doesn't target,
Ooh, that's a pretty big game.
they have to sack it. I mean, it's never gonna happen, but
Okay.
you know.
And worst case, you have no other creatures, you have no colorless mana, and you drop it and it can't block, and you lose.
Yeah, but you're still swinging in for 2 every turn anyway.
Yeah, but if you're taking lethal, then you really need a blocker, right?
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But still, I think B- is a good grade for it. I'm probably going to first pick it and then go directly into that.
Sort of deck.
Drana's Chosen is another sexy vampire. 3 and a black, excuse me, for a 2/2.
Okay,
So
you better do something awesome.
Those are Gravedigger stats right there. Vampire Shaman ally, so another ally. And her cohort ability is put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield. Tapped.
Interesting.
So, I said Gravedigger. It's a little better than a Gravedigger
Yeah.
in that it's repeatable, make bears every turn.
But you have to have two.
You
it
do.
and another creature.
You do. And the zombies that she makes aren't allies, so they don't feed that.
She feels almost more like a win more card.
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe. I don't think it's going to be that difficult from what we've seen to get another ally
No, but you also have to be
in a position
comfortable
Yeah.
to tap them
Yeah.
and leave your field however it is.
Right.
You know?
So where do you put her?
She could be amazing. She could be just okay. I'd probably put her at a C+.
That's where I'd put her, at a C+. Her low end is still a 2/2 creature.
For 4.
For 4, which isn't great.
No.
But it's also not like the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, I guess.
It is pretty bad. Dread Defiler. 6 and a black, so 7 mana. This is our second 7-drop.
Okay.
For a devoid 6/8.
Ooh, he's a mighty big thing.
Yup. And he has an ability.
Tell me about it.
3 and a colorless. Exile a creature card from your graveyard. Target opponent loses life equal to the exiled card's power.
Ooh.
So I like this guy quite a bit. He comes down and helps stabilize your board. If you're looking at a board full of enemies, then they're just going to be like, I don't care, swing with all, I'll lose one of my creatures, you take a bunch of damage. But if you have traded off a bunch and you've got a full yard, by 7 mana you should have a few things that you can do, say, 6 damage to your opponent by spending a lot of mana. I still think that's pretty good. Not amazing, maybe.
I'm not terribly excited for me to play him, but I'm dreading the day that he goes ka-dunk
On the other
on
side.
the other side, and you're like, oh man, because 6/8, you're not getting rid of him very easily.
No, and he attacks very well.
Yeah.
He blocks very well, but he's not. He's not the.
He's a big dumb dude.
He's not the Sphinx.
No.
But he is pretty good. I think that ability. I don't know. I'm not gonna rate that ability very.
Well, have we
highly.
seen anything that we can get our own creatures into our graveyard?
There's a little bit of mill, I think.
Okay.
I don't think so. So you'll have to trade off.
Yeah.
But that's the way limited works
Yeah.
too. So I put him at a C+.
Yeah, I can see
I
that.
think he's better than a C.
I wouldn't mind him in my black deck, but I don't think if I see him, I'm going to be like, whoa, let's go all in on black.
Yeah. All right. Inverter of Truth. This is a card. 2 black for a devoid 6/6 flyer.
Give him to me. Wait, what does he do? He must do something terrible.
He's a mythic.
Okay.
All right, so 6/6 flyer for 4
What's
is
the downside?
obviously nuts.
Yeah. What's the downside?
When Inverter of Truth enters the battlefield, exile all cards from your library face down. Then shuffle all cards from your graveyard into your library.
Huh.
I think this card is bad.
Huh.
I think this card is terrible. I think you want a 6/6 flyer on turn 4 because that's when it's going to be really good. On turn 4, you're not going to have anything in your graveyard. If you have, it's going to be 2 cards, which means you get 2 swings before you just deck yourself and lose.
Yeah.
I don't like this card at all.
I want to like it so bad.
I
My
know.
brain is racing doing the math.
I know,
Like,
right?
okay, how many swings? I need 4 to win. So where?
I'm going to play this card in Commander.
There's going to be
I'm
people
going to
who
put
are
him
going
in
to
my
put this in.
dedicated self-mill deck.
There are going to be people that are going to try this in limited. And here's the thing:
Uh-huh.
if you don't care that it's just your deck essentially is going to be 1 card short, you can afford to put it in and just like wait for the
Yeah, but your
perfect.
hand,
I know.
your hand is also 1 card short.
I know,
Don't-
but he
no.
needs to be good.
No,
No,
he's
he
a D
doesn't.
minus.
I know, he's not great.
I'm putting him at D minus because I don't think he's a straight up F. He's probably just an F. I'm gonna put him at F plus.
Really?
F plus.
Oh, I'm not going to be that mean. I'm going to put him at a D.
A D.
Yeah. Because I think there's probably something that I'm missing that
I
could
don't know,
make this
man.
possible.
I'm never putting this in my deck. It's just too risky. In Constructed, it's a completely different
But I want him to
story.
be
I know.
good. It's a flyer. Look at him.
F plus.
He's like, hey, play me. I'm cute.
Sifter of Skulls.
All right. What does this guy do?
3 and a black for a 4/3.
Okay.
Devoid.
Sure.
So 4/3s for 4 are good. I don't like them, but they're good.
Yep.
Whenever another non-token creature you control dies,
Yep.
put a 1/1 colorless Eldrazi Scion creature token onto the battlefield. It has sacrificed this creature, add colorless to your mana pool.
Sold.
Add colorless to your mana pool. So not only does he make 1/1s whenever your creatures die, he also helps to activate colorless abilities.
Yep. I'm sold. He's good.
I like him.
I'm gonna call him Sparky.
You're going to call him Sparky?
Look at he's rad. He
All
looks
right.
like a Sparky.
Where do you
He's
put
going to
him?
be my friend.
He reminds me of someone. Is
I
it
think he's
Lord
a-
Zed from the Power Rangers?
I think he's a B for me. Like
He's a B?
He's just really good. He's a 4/3. He's
All right, you're probably right. I put him at a B minus because I don't like 4/3s, but as I said, I'm wrong on that.
did a 4/3 do something to you as a child?
I don't like
Did they beat
trading
you
my
up?
creatures.
Or torment you?
4/3s aren't that much better than 5/2s to me, and I know that that's wrong,
Stafford.
but I just don't like them.
All right.
All right, so
I'll take them all from you.
B minus.
All right. Next.
Definitely pick him if you need colorless activation.
Heck yeah.
All right.
Ooh,
Kalitas,
a legendary
Traitor
creature.
of Get. Legendary creature, vampire warrior, not an ally.
Nope.
I guess that's because he's a traitor.
Yep.
2 black for a 3/4, which I like a lot better than a 4/3, with lifelink.
Yep. Count me in.
Yeah, totally.
I'm there.
I'm first picking this card at that.
I'm first picking him every time. What else does he do?
If a non-token creature an opponent controls would die, instead exile that card and put a 2/2 black zombie onto the battlefield. Period. Not tapped, just put it onto the battlefield. So that does a couple of things. It makes you creatures whenever your opponent's creatures die. It also puts cards into exile, which you can then process.
Yep.
2 and a black. Sacrifice another vampire or a zombie, and he makes zombies. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on Kalitas, Traitor of Get.
Oh.
So
I would also like to point out that card we saw earlier.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was that created the 2/2 zombies. Pulled cards from your graveyard. It had the cohort ability. Its cohort ability was 2/2.
Make 2/2s.
I want those two in a deck together.
Well, they're both rares.
Of course they are. All right, I will stick to standard with them then.
But yeah, I think this is an A+.
Oh, he's fantastic.
I
He's
think
lifelink and 3/4 and
does a huge amount. He reminds me of King Makar for some reason. I know it's not even close to a similar ability, but it's just sort of that.
game warping.
It could be game warping. Now, he's easy enough to deal with. He's a 3/4, you know.
But he's harder to deal with than a 3/3. Like, he's gone over that
Yep.
3
Totally.
bum hump.
So I think he's an A+.
I would say he's a straight up A.
Straight up A?
I really like him.
All right. So that's black.
Salem thinks it's an A too.
Okay.
He's purring.
So we didn't do this for blue. We should go back and do that. The median toughness, or the mode toughness rather, in black is 4 or above.
Mm-hmm.
Which is interesting because that means that a lot of removal isn't going to hit it, especially red removal. So black seems like a fairly resilient color. There are a lot of 1 and 2 toughness things, and 3 toughness things to be fair, but they seem to be more aggressive than not, and the bigger things seem to be more controlling than not. So I like the way this set is shaping up.
Now, do you want to go back and mention the stats on the blue before you move on?
Yes, I do. So in blue, the mode toughness was 3 or less. So what I mean by that is the most commonly occurring toughnesses were 3 or less. There was A5 and 2 4s at common or uncommon. So it's fairly removal susceptible to most removal. But blue looked to me rather tempo based, and black looks to me like it's doing 2 things. It's either going really aggressive or really control. But again, we won't really know that until we take a look at the non-creature spells.
Sure.
Anyway, shall we go on to red?
You betcha.
Ooh.
There we go.
Akum Flame Seeker is a 3/2 for 2 and a red. She is a human shaman ally.
Okay.
And she's got a cohort ability. And it's Rummage.
Really?
So yeah, she's a 3/2 Rummager.
Interesting.
It is interesting in that 3/2s, if they're not opposed, they do a good amount of damage, but they tend to get stopped by just about anything. Like your opponent plays a bear, suddenly you're trading your 3-drop for their 2-drop, and that's not great. But having the Rummage is definitely an upside.
So you figure you swing in with your 3/2 until it's no longer profitable, then you just use it to rummage?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
Rummaging is not looting, but it's almost looting. So
explain just in case there's people who don't know what that
looting is you draw a card and then discard a card.
Yeah.
Rummage is you discard a card. If you do, you draw a card.
Yeah.
So it's obviously better to have more choices than less. With Rummage, you have to choose and discard something before you know what you're going to draw. I basically only Rummage when I've got a land in hand that I'm discarding.
That makes sense.
I basically loot all the time when I can. Because it's not hurting me at all.
Yeah.
It's just giving me more options.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think this is a C.
Yeah.
I don't think it's better than a C, but I
No.
don't think it's worse than a C. Is that...
Yep.
Yep.
You betcha.
All right.
Ooh.
I know.
Interesting looking dude.
Hellions look weird.
They're
Cinder
awesome.
Hellion,
They look like ground worms.
they are,
Hey.
is a 4/4 for 5. 4 and a red.
Sure. Sounds good.
That's perfectly fine, right?
Yep.
It's got trample.
Ooh, okay.
Even better,
Even
right?
better.
When Cinder Hellion enters the battlefield, it deals 2 damage to target opponent.
Hells yeah.
So, that's obviously not as good as target creature or opponent,
No.
but whatever. 2 damage is 2 damage. That's...
Plus your
I'm
last
not
goes
going
a
to say
4/4.
no, right?
Yeah.
So that's pretty good, and red usually pairs pretty well with white, and white is a support color.
Okay.
So if you support this guy, then you're trampling with a 5/5, 6/6.
Mm-hmm.
So just a 4/4 for 5 with trample is C plus.
Yeah, I like the 2 damage that it adds to.
Do you think it hits B minus range?
No, I don't know. The 5 mana in red. I don't know. I guess we'll see as we go.
I like it. I'm gonna pick it probably.
Yeah, I want to play with it. It's a common too, which is
Yeah. The problem I have is that it's just not as big as the big things in this set.
Yeah.
You know.
Is there something else big that you want to spend 5 mana on?
Yeah. I don't know. I want rares that are 4 mana 4/4s.
Yeah. But this guy is common, so
Yeah. So it's perfectly serviceable.
Yep.
Eldrazi Aggressor is another 2/3 for 3 for 2 and a red. It's devoid. And Eldrazi Aggressor has haste as long as you control another colorless creature. So I don't really put much stock in that ability.
No.
If you have a colorless bear, I don't even know if there were any colorless bears. There were, yes. Then whatever. Late game, I guess you suddenly have a 2-power haste creature, but whatever.
I would be more impressed if it were a 4/3. You know, because the 2.
Yeah,
Meh.
but this is a common, and that sounds
Fair
like an
enough.
uncommon to me.
Fair enough. He's okay.
He's fine.
I'd rather have a 3/2 in red, to be honest.
C minus.
Yeah,
I
because
think it's just a little worse than the other.
I want my
2/3s.
red to be a little more aggressive than that.
Yeah, it doesn't seem very aggressive, even though it's called Aggressor.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is in the background, though.
He's a big dude.
Yeah. Embodiment of Fury. When I first saw this card, I thought it was a cycle, because there's an embodiment in green, too.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just red-green.
Okay.
And I figured that's probably because it has landfall, but we'll get there. 3 and a red for a 4/3
All right.
with trample.
That seems fair.
I like that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Land creatures you control have trample.
Okay.
Boom. I like that a lot. Landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may have target land you control become a 3/3 elemental creature with haste until end of turn. It's still a land. Anytime you drop a land, you get a free 3/3 for a turn
What I like
with trample.
What I like is that this is in the 4 slot. So it's not so far ahead, like it's not so far down the line in the game that how many land are you going to be honestly dropping?
Right, right.
So this is on turn 4, so turn 5.
Yep. I'd even be fine playing this on turn 5 and then dropping a land.
Absolutely.
And swinging immediately with a 3/3. It's almost like this has haste at that point.
Yep. That seems pretty cool.
And a 4/3 trample is going to trade with something good and maybe get a little damage through. It's good to support onto. I just think he's really
Yeah, and he's not terribly expensive for what you're getting.
Really
so.
good. Embodiment of Fury, C+.
Absolutely.
B-.
Maybe.
Problem is we don't know what green is like, and green's the
Exactly.
landfall color.
Yeah, so we'll see. But he's pretty good.
I say C+, B-.
Yeah.
He's probably better than that. I don't know.
We'll see.
All
I
right.
can report that he's pretty stinking good.
Goblin Free Runner.
A goblin!
I love goblins.
Me too.
This is probably not making it into my goblin deck, although it might.
Tell me what he is.
He is a 3/2 for 3 and a red.
Blah.
So 3/2 for 4. Boo. With Menace. Hey.
Yeah,
Menace is pretty good. And he's got Surge. So if you cast another spell, you get to pay 1 and a red for him.
Yeah, okay.
So, again, I'm not going to put much stock in that ability. It's not like late game I'm going to leave him in my hand to try to cast 2 spells. I'm just going to play him out. And early game, if I have him on turn 4 and a 2-drop in my hand, then I play them both. That's best case scenario.
Yeah.
I think he's just fine.
The thing with Surge
He is an ally.
It's going to take us up a level as far as having to pay attention to order of
spells.
where
Absolutely.
you cast stuff, and yeah.
I think he is a C+. I think he's a 3-power menace creature, and that means he's fine, and he does have tiny upside potential.
For some reason, I thought you were going to say tiny little arms.
Tiny
Because he
little
really
arms.
does have tiny little arms.
A lot of the goblins do, and they're lifting really heavy things.
They're amazing. You know what I'm really sad about?
What?
Is that there aren't going to be any goblin tokens that I'm aware of, and so I can't add any more to my... I collect goblin tokens because...
Love the goblin tokens.
I love them, but no new goblin tokens.
Well,
I'm a sad girl.
I don't
Moving
think there are
along.
any tokens in red. Period.
Well, I don't know. Let's see. Next.
Oof.
Earth.
Immobilizer Eldrazi.
Ooh.
Wait, what did you give that guy?
I agreed with you, so I don't
Okay.
know.
Immobilizer Eldrazi is an Eldrazi drone. He's a 2/1 for 1 and a red. So another piker.
Okay.
He's devoid, and he's got an ability, 2 and a colorless. Each creature with toughness greater than its power can't block this turn.
Weird.
So this straight up hoses defensive decks.
Yep.
Anyone playing a wall, or even a 3/4, or an 8/9.
So is what you're saying he's sideboard card?
No, I'm saying that he's good in a red aggressive deck. Because play him on turn 2, swing in for 2 as long as you can, and then if you play him late game and you can activate that ability, then that's the reach you need to close out the game.
Yep.
You know, like that seems good to me. I have him at a C on my list,
Yeah.
but I think he might be better than that.
I was gonna say C+.
A C+? I'm going to go C+.
Yeah.
All right. Kazul's Toll Collector.
Interesting name.
I don't like this card just from a design perspective, but we'll get there. I think he should be Kazul's Troll Collector.
He looks like a troll. No, he's an ogre.
He's an ogre warrior. He should be a troll. 2 and a red for a 3/2. So that's whatever. That's fine. That's good stats in red. And for 0, attach target equipment you control to Kazul's Toll Collector. Activate this ability only anytime you could cast a sorcery. So if you've got equipment, you can equip it for 0 to this guy. This is a constructed thing, I think. There isn't enough equipment that I like that it's going to be a thing. But whatever. He's a 3/2 for 3. So I'm still going to play him. I think he should have been a rare, and he should have stolen your opponent's equipment.
That could have been interesting.
Like, that's what I see a toll collector.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
as it is, he's fine.
Yeah, I could see many uses for him in Commander, in Constructed. He could be, because I'm thinking of the actually good equipment that costs a fair amount.
Oh, in Commander, that's nuts.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's just
yeah,
incredible. If you do have any of the white artificers, then you pick this guy up, you pick up some equipment, you maybe make a deck, but I don't think that's really a thing, so I'm just putting him at C. I think he's fine.
I think it's something that, depending how my drafts go, I'd be really interested to see if I could do. I think it would be fun to try. Once we're in the format for a while.
I think people are going to make mistakes in drafting around this guy and making their decks worse.
Possibly, yeah.
But I put him at a C.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maw of Kozilek. This is an Eldrazi drone at 3 and a red for a 2/5. Is it our first 2/5?
At common?
At common. So he's devoid. And pay a colorless, he gets +2, -2 until end of turn. So
sure.
He turns from a 2/5 into a 4/3.
Interesting.
I like that way better than a native 4/3. I like 2/5s. 2/5s are probably my favorite blockers.
He seems strangely at odds with red, being a 2/5, but then you kind of have the ability to make him a little more aggressive.
He is at odds with red allies. He actually fits right into the red-blue devoid deck.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
So I like him. I think it's an interesting card.
And he has a common, which is cool.
I'm gonna put him at straight up B-.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that.
I think he's versatile enough for that. What do you think?
I agree with you. I'm going to be interested to see tomorrow what kind of removal is in the set, because these bums become much more relevant when we see what we can do to take them out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if I'm going to be running something that, you know, I would run a wall perhaps in, this has the ability to also go aggressive, which is kind of cool.
True.
Kind of neat. Versatile.
All right. Reckless Bushwhacker.
Look, another goblin.
Is a 2/1 for 3. So that's underrate with haste. So that's okay. When he enters the battlefield, okay. So first he's got Surge for 2 and a red, or 1 and a red. Excuse me. So you pay 1 less mana if you've cast another spell.
Sure.
That still means you're probably paying more mana generally. Like, you're not going to be able to cast this and another spell on turn 3. You're going to cast this and another spell on turn 4 or 5. But that's okay. When he enters the battlefield, if its Surge cost was paid, other creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain haste until end of turn. And he is an ally. I like him.
Makes him a little better later game.
It exactly does make him better later game. Because a 2/1 for 3 is not good. A 2/1 for 2 that gives whatever else you cast haste and gives +1 to the rest of your board could be the reach that you need in a red aggressive deck to burst through a board. That being said, I don't think he's super efficient. I don't think he's what I'm going to be looking for. I think he's a C-.
Yeah, I could see that.
He has
maybe a C. I don't know.
He has a lot of versatility, so you know.
True.
Whatever. C-.
My only issue with him is he seems pretty like.
He's aggressive stats, but he's not aggressively costed.
Yeah, and he's going into a deck that seems like it would want to be aggressive. But could help you, I guess. Yeah, alright. Moving along.
Is that our last? Okay, we're on to the rares.
Awesome. What have we got?
Tyrant of Valakut.
Ooh.
5 red. So 7 mana
Dragon.
for a dragon.
He's pretty.
For a 5/4 flyer.
Okay.
I think this is straight up worse than the Sphinx. Except in Two-Headed Giant.
Well, you have to tell me the rest of him.
He's got Surge. So if you or a teammate cast another spell, you can pay 3 red.
Okay.
So 3 red for a 5/4 flyer is good.
Okay, but assuming we don't cast him for the Surge, he does have another. He has more text. What does it say?
Not if you don't cast him for his Surge cost.
Oh.
When he enters the battlefield, if his Surge cost was paid, he deals 3 damage to target creature or player.
He's not as good. No.
So
a 5/4 for 7.
in Two-Headed Giant, this is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Because you can just sort of poke your teammate to play something, and then you get a 5/4 flyer and a lightning strike for 5 mana.
Yeah.
Which is nuts.
It's going to be a little more hanky.
As it stands, this is the only Surge card I've seen yet that I would actively try to hold in my hand for the Surge.
Yeah.
Because I think a free lightning strike is going to be worth trying to cast 2 spells.
Yeah.
Problem is, if you're casting any higher than a 3-drop with him, then you're gonna have a rough time paying that mana.
It's hard for me to judge him until we see what the supporting cards are going to do. Like how many low drop blue-red or whatever cards are there to enable it.
Right.
So it's really a little bit hard to judge that part in a vacuum.
As it stands, I do think he does enough that he's you're gonna want to play him. I think he's a B-.
Yeah, he's a curve topper. He's a 5/4 flyer.
Maybe just a C+. I don't know. Uh-oh. Bless you. But if you can reliably Surge him, then I think he
could be pretty sweet.
Amazing. So I'm still just going to say B-.
Yeah, seems fair.
We jogged there. Zada's Commando is a common, so we going back.
He jumped into the wrong spot.
He jumped in the wrong
He's
spot.
a commando.
Yeah. 1 and a red for a 2/1 with first strike.
Sure.
I like that. I like that a lot. I think that a bear with first strike is better than anything else you can cast on turn 2.
It's pretty good.
He's also got Cohort. And his Cohort ability is he deals 1 damage to target opponent.
I like him.
So
once you can no longer use him effectively on the attack,
then you just ping your opponent to death for the last 4.
Flick, 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 flick.
Yep. So I like him a lot. I have a C+ here, but I think I'm going to say B-, because I think in an aggressive deck it's just that good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
And he knows he wants to be aggressive.
Sure he does. He jumped ahead. He jumped into the rare and mythics.
Yeah. All right. Back to the rares.
All right.
Eldrazi Obligator. 2 and a red for a 3/1. Devoid.
Okay.
So, when you cast Eldrazi Obligator, if you may pay 1 and a colorless. If you do, gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap that creature. It gains haste until end of turn.
Interesting.
And this also has haste. Please don't forget that this has haste. It's hidden under all the other text.
Thank you, because I would have forgotten.
It should be right at the top, but it's not. People are going to miss that this has haste.
So that's an active treason on a body.
It's an act of treason on a fairly decent body. Being able to get one of their blockers out of the way and swing for 3 and then whatever else.
Oh, yeah.
Now, that's on turn 5. On turn 3, he's a 3/1 with haste.
Mm-hmm.
And that is also
fine.
pretty good.
Yep. I like him a lot, actually.
I like him a lot too. I think as a turn 3 play or a curve topper in an aggressive deck, he's probably just a B-.
Yeah, I like him a lot.
I'm going to pick him highly if I'm planning on going that route. Alright, Goblin Dark Dwellers.
Ooh, aren't they a bunch?
They don't have eyes. Check that out.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys.
They remind me of the creatures from my favorite movie.
Oh, yeah.
So 3 red for a 4/4.
Okay.
Totally decent. With Menace.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Yeah. And when Goblin Dark Dwellers enter the battlefield, you may cast target instant or sorcery card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. And then exile it.
Oh.
Boom.
Oh.
So, if you don't have an instant or sorcery in your graveyard, do not wait. Just play this on turn 4 or turn 5 and
It's
start
a
attacking.
4/4 for 5 with Menace.
Yeah.
That alone is awesome. And then you throw in the gravy.
And you throw in the gravy, if you have a lightning strike, take out some creature or just dome your opponent or whatever. I think this is a straight up B+.
Yeah, I like him.
I think this is
pretty sweet.
the curve topper I want in the aggressive deck.
He's nice.
There are a lot of 5 mana red things so far, and you don't want too many, but this is definitely one I want.
Yep. Agreed.
Alright. Whoa. That's it for red?
That's it for red.
That's it for red. Okay, so I liked red quite a bit.
I did too.
So far I've liked this entire set. I think so far white looked the weakest, except where the rares are concerned.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, well, we'll get there when we talk about the set afterward.
Alright.
The toughnesses of creatures in red have been 2, 1, 3, 3, 3, 2, 2, 2, 4, 4, 4, and 5. So not only does red have more creatures than white, blue, or black, but they also seem to be mostly more aggressive creatures, which you would expect.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So we're about to jump into green
Yep.
to hopefully begin to see whether or not green becomes playable again.
Yeah, because green was, I'm going to just say it, unplayable. And
Not draftable.
that made me very sad in
It made a lot of people sad. A
Battle
lot of
for
people
Zendikar.
love green.
I love green. I had an awesome green sealed deck, which it was better than a lot of the other decks in League, but that's not a draft deck. It's a little different.
Yeah. Next. All right.
Baloth Pup.
Oh, it's so cute.
It's our first green uncommon. It is a 3/1 for 1 and a green.
Sure.
It's a beast. And it has trample as long as it has a +1/+1 counter on it.
I see.
So-
Right.
I like 3/1s for 2. I don't like them as much in green as in white, but it's totally serviceable. And the fact that it doesn't have trample unless it has a +1/+1 counter on it
Doesn't bother you as much?
I mean, if it just had trample, it would obviously be better, but that's fine.
Yeah.
A 4/2 with trample for a single, I want to say bolster, support is totally cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, green, white, red. What was the other support color? Oh, green is the other support color. That's the other thing. Green and white.
We haven't got there yet,
No.
so we shall see.
Green and white are both support colors.
So how do you feel about this guy?
I like him. I'm not sure how good he is. Traditionally, 3/1s in green are kind of bland, but in this set, it seems like they're moving away from green doing what it normally does, because that's kind of what the Eldrazi do even better.
Yeah, fair enough.
Which is why green was so bad in
Yeah.
in
Big creatures just aren't
battle.
that big when you compare them to the Eldrazi.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think he's a C plus.
Good, because I was like, I hope I'm not getting torn by the fact that he's so adorable, because I'm like, C plus, because he's so cute.
He's also wrecking those goblins.
I know.
Oh, what are they? They're not even goblins. They're frogs.
Yep, they're frogs going flying everywhere.
Frog spawn.
He looks like a puppy.
A young Baloth channels its energy into playful destructiveness. Over time, it becomes less playful, but no less destructive.
They're super cute. All right, moving on.
All right. Birthing Hulk is a 6 and a green 5/4 Eldrazi drone. So
Okay.
it's colorless. And when it enters the battlefield, put 2 1/1 Eldrazi Scions into play.
Okay.
You can pay 1 and a colorless to regenerate Birthing Hulk.
Interesting.
So,
Do we think there's going to be ramp and green?
I just gave Tams a dirty look. So, first, this does ramp, but that doesn't really help you because it's already 7 mana.
Yeah, it doesn't help you cast them.
So green is traditionally a ramp color, and any colorless ramp you have works for him because he's only a single green. 5/4 vanilla for 7 isn't great, but it does give you 2 1/1s, so it's 7 power, 6 toughness for
And a
7
fairly
mana.
cheap way to regenerate, too.
And yeah, a fairly cheap way to regenerate, even if you're just sacking an Eldrazi Scion and paying 1 to regenerate. That seems okay.
So he comes with free regeneration.
Yeah, if you want to think of it that way, he totally does that. I don't know. I think he's just a C.
Yeah, he's kind of expensive.
Excuse me. I don't think he's worse than that. But he's just a big dumb dude, and he's not even that big, but he certainly is dumb. Yeah, I think he's just a straight up C.
Mm-hmm.
Canopy Gorger is an even bigger, dumber dude. He's 6/5 for 4 green, and he's a worm.
So he's just a vanilla.
He's just a worm, just a 6/5 worm. I've never really liked these guys. They're fine.
Vanilla big guys. Yeah.
I used to play them all the time when I was in, elementary school or high school or whatever. Because they were the biggest, dumbest things around. But I haven't really played them since. I think this is just a D. You can play it. I don't want to.
Yeah, I agree. I'd rather do something a little more fancy with my 6 mana.
A little more flashy. That being said, if you don't have anything flashy, he's just a big dumb dude. But yeah, I don't really care.
Yeah.
Embodiment of Insight. This
There's
is the other embodiment.
Okay.
Which, to me, I guess means he has landfalls, because he's an elemental. So, 4 and a green for a 4/4. That's fine. With Vigilance, even better.
Even better.
Which means as soon as he comes down, he can block and attack, and that sort of stabilizes your side of the board, and it solidifies a lead.
Yeah.
Land creatures you control have Vigilance, so I like that. What was the other thing that they got? Trample in red?
Yeah. So that would work really well in there.
Yeah. Like, you'd think a white embodiment would give Vigilance, a green embodiment would give Trample.
Yeah, kind of strange, huh?
Anyway, that's totally fine. And he's got Landfall. When a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may have target land become a 3/3 with haste. It's still a land. Until end of turn. So just like the red one. I think Vigilance is a little worse than Trample, but not by much. I still think this is really efficient. And I don't remember what I gave the red one. I think it was in the C range, like C plus or B minus or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm giving this one a solid B.
Okay.
Mostly because landfall feels specifically green, and I think this makes the landfall creatures from Battle for Zendikar better.
Mm-hmm. Now, I think I would prefer to have the red one to the green one because the red one had trample.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he's in the C plus range, B minus range for me. These
So-
are not the kinds of cards that I typically draft, so
I love this stuff.
Yeah, I come at it from a different
It's
angle.
a B
but,
to me because it makes me want to play
Yep.
green. All right, Harvester Troll. Here we have a troll.
Dude's awesome.
I know, the art is sick, right?
Oh, he's so good.
3 and a green for a 2/3. When he enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice a creature or land. If you do, put 2 +1/+1 counters on Harvester Troll.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it's interesting. You take a tempo loss, but green is sort of a ramp color anyway. So let's say you pay 4 and then sack one of the lands you tapped,
Yeah.
and you have a 4/5.
So that's good early game.
Totally.
And he's good late game. You can get rid of the extra one of the land that you have that you just have been dropping and
Or an Eldrazi Scion or whatever.
Yep.
It works really well with active treason effects.
Which we've seen one of.
So that's fun.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
I don't know how good it is, but I like it. I have him at a C plus. He might be better than that,
Yeah.
but I think I'm going to say C plus.
Be conservative.
Yeah.
You'll hear me sometimes talking and it's not two-step. It's because
There are cats.
we just moved yesterday and our cats are a little discombobulated and they keep trying to crawl on our laps.
Yeah.
Right, Shadow? Come and see what we're doing.
All right.
Oh, ooh.
Loam larva. Why don't you read this one?
Lorm larva is a creature insect at common. It's 1 and a green for a 1/3.
So that's pretty stinky in green.
Okay. However, it is in green, so there's something else. When Loam larva enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, then shuffle your library and put that card on top of it.
So I don't even get the land in hand.
Nope. And you certainly don't get it on the battlefield.
Hey.
But it is a 1/3.
If this put the land on the battlefield, it would be amazing.
Yeah, it would.
I have this guy at a D plus.
Yeah.
I don't see myself playing it, but I know there are people out there who like this kind of card.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I admit that the weaknesses in my game are for this kind of thing, but I just don't like it.
He's got a 3 power or a 3 toughness butt, which, you know.
You know, I'm going to change my mind and say D minus.
All right.
I just don't want to play it at all.
Aw,
What,
poor guy.
what do you think?
I can see where some people would like him, not like him, but play him. He's a 1/3 as opposed to a 1/2 or something. But I don't want to.
When
play
I'm
him.
in green, I want to beat down.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to play him either.
Netcaster Spider. This is a reprint. I don't know about any other reprints, but I know this one is a reprint because boy did I play it.
But it's a new art.
It is a new art. It's a sick looking art.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 and a green for a 2/3 with reach. I love that.
It's a creature spider.
It's a creature spider.
Common.
And when it blocks a creature with flying, It gets +2/+0 until end of
Oh,
turn.
this guy. Yup.
I love this effect.
I hate him because I don't often play green, and it's always played against my evasion decks, and I hate him.
This is the answer to two flyers.
I
Or
hate
even
you.
3 whatever flyers. Like, he'll trade with a big flyer. Maybe not like a 5/5 flyer. But he'll also just eat any 2/2
Was he
flyers.
not in a recent core set, or
He
perhaps?
was in M15.
Yes, that's what I thought. Because I can remember sitting there with my awesome flyer deck and tapping my fingers, waiting to get some sort of removal because
For that stupid
he
netcaster
is
flyer.
sitting there. He's such a jerk.
I like him a lot.
Yeah, he's good.
I tried not to overrate him at a C+, but I honestly think he's a B- or even a B. B-. I'm going to say B-.
I'm gonna give him a C+.
A C+?
Yeah.
All right. I
Because
like
he's
him.
only good. No, I won't say he's only good, but he's mostly only good against flying.
Well, he can also beat down.
Yeah, he's all right.
Saddleback Lagak.
Lagak. Oh, he's pretty.
He is pretty. He is a 3/1 for 3 and a green. So that's pretty subpar.
Yeah.
When he enters the battlefield, support 2.
Oh, that's a little better.
If you have creatures, he's pretty good. If you don't have creatures, he's pretty bad. I also like the flavor text. A good Lagak will carry you through thick and thin. A bad one, well, it's a tasty dinner. And that's
great.
from the Goblin Shorecutter.
That's great.
So
I think if you're in that white-green support deck, you kind of want you wouldn't mind having him.
I think if you're behind, he's still not bad because he'll trade with something with 3 toughness.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of stuff with 3 toughness. He'll trade with a 4/3, you know, which is why I don't tend to like 4/3s. But I think he's pretty good. I gave him a C. He could be better than that. He could be worse than that. I just don't really know how easy support is going to be to get.
Yeah, I get you.
But I put him at a C.
Okay.
Where would you put him?
At a C.
Not a C plus?
No.
This is I figured this is your kind of card.
It is my kind of card, but not in my kind of colors.
Fair enough. Scion Summoner is a
Alright.
2/2 for 3. It's devoid. Also, we haven't mentioned it up to this point, but you'll notice in the art here, a lot of the Eldrazi of Kozilek's Brood have the Gatewatch symbol floating around their heads, which I think is really interesting. I don't know what that means, but
It's pretty cool.
when it enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 Eldrazi Scion into play. So you get 3 power, 3 toughness for 3 mana.
These have been traditionally really good.
One
We've
of
had a
which
couple.
can ramp you. Yeah.
We've had a couple in the last few sets, and they've been.
Yeah, I think on turn 3 he's fine. Later in the game, if you play him as a chump blocker or another beater and have the ability to activate a colorless ability by sacking
I
Scion.
like these that come down with an extra body,
Yeah,
especially for 3 mana. I will give him a C+. I like him. I
you
think
give him a
he's
C+?
pretty good. Yep.
I give him a C+.
Hey.
Awesome. Seed Guardian. 2 green for a 3/4 with reach.
Oh, stop with the reach. You're ruining my deck. Curse you, green.
I really like this guy. I think he looks like Swamp Thing, which
Yep.
is great.
Okay.
He also has an ability, when he dies, put an XX green elemental creature token onto the battlefield, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard.
So he goes back to seed.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
right, yeah.
Oh, and the flavor text is nice. It's a reminder that spring will always follow winter.
Oh, that is nice. I don't know how good that ability is. It entirely depends on how aggressively you're trading creatures off. I do know that a 3/4 with reach is excellent.
Yep.
For 4 mana, you would get a 2/4 with reach, giant spider, and feel okay. So this guy's just better than that. and the death ability is gravy. I have him at a C plus, but he's probably a B minus.
Yeah,
What do you
absolutely.
think?
I was gonna say B minus.
You were gonna say B minus?
B or B minus, yeah, because he's fine. He's good.
Yeah, he's just solid.
What is he?
Stalking Drone is a 2/2 for 1 and a green, colorless creature.
Sure.
So he's a devoid bear. And for a colorless, he can get +1/+2 until end of turn. Activate this ability only once each turn. So that's fine.
Burns.
A 2/2 for 2 with an upside is traditionally C plus. And that's right where I put this guy.
Yeah, he's fine.
Nothing else to say about him?
Nope. I don't think anything else needs to be said.
All right. Whoop. Our last common is Tajuru Path Warden.
Yep.
And it is a 5/4 for 4 and a green.
I like him.
He also has Vigilance.
Ooh.
He also has Trample.
Sign me up.
So he's a Baloth rider, or she, excuse me, is a Baloth rider there.
I like this one.
She's an elf warrior ally,
Oh.
and I think that's much better than the worm at 6 mana.
Yep.
I think it's probably better than the big dumb Eldrazi dork from earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where that was. I have it at a C plus on my listing. It's probably much better than that. It stabilizes the board. When it comes down, it can beat down.
It can swing and block with trample.
I'm going to revise that and put
B
it at
minus.
a solid B.
Yeah.
So I'm at B, you're at B minus.
Yeah. I like it.
I think it's really good.
It's really good.
All right.
Feeling hopeful for green.
Yeah. I think green. Now it's weird because the commons and uncommons in green in Battle for Zendikar were like C's and D's, but the rares were all B's. The commons and uncommons in this set have been like B's and C's, so I think that immediately makes it a playable color. I think
so.
it's fine.
I hope so.
Going on to the rares. Gladeheart Cavalry.
Okay.
7 mana, 5 green for a 6/6.
Okay.
When it enters the battlefield, support 6.
Cool.
I think support 6 is fine. It basically says put a +1 counter on each other creature you control. Like, if you have 6 creatures, then you're probably winning that game.
Not if they're Eldrazi Scions.
Well, that's fair.
Because it's easy to rack up those in this color, right?
That is totally true. But like I said, basically that I don't know if you're going to get that support 6 all the time.
No, but you're probably going to get all of the creatures that are on the battlefield at that time.
All right. And whenever a creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it dies, you gain 2 life. So that actually
That's
makes
pretty sweet.
it even better to use Scions because you can sack them and
Yep.
for value and gain 2 life just
Yeah,
incrementally.
that gets kind of crazy.
I don't think this is as good as the other 7 drops we've seen, but it's definitely not bad. I think it's just a B though.
Yep, I was thinking B. That's what I had thought. Hey, you.
Cool. Sylvan Advocate is a 2/3 for 2
Oh, okay. Sounds good.
with Vigilance,
Nice.
and as long as you control 6 or more lands, creatures, it and land creatures you control get +2/+2.
Ooh.
So if you drop it late game, it is a 4/5 for 2.
You know what?
And it gives all your land creatures +2/+2.
To me, this is up there in the B plus range for the reason that when I see this, pack 1, I'm going to grab it.
Build around it.
And I'm going to, and it's not hard to build around. Even if you don't do a lot, it's still a 2-3 for 2.
You know, I think you're right. I had it at a B- on my list. I think it's actually an A-.
It's pretty good.
Where did you want to put it?
A B+.
A B+? B+, A-. I think it's efficient, very
2-3
efficient.
for 3 with vigilance is nice. And then the other thing
could be stall breaking.
Yeah,
You're right.
later game, that's just really good.
It's not that good when you're behind, but it's not that bad. Actually, if you are behind in late game because you've been drawing a bunch of lands, then it is pretty good.
Yeah, you suddenly have a 4-5.
And if you hold on to it for a turn and get to surge something else with it.
Yeah.
That
I mean, a
seems
4-5 for
really
2
good.
is ridiculous later game. Yeah.
All right. Vile Redeemer. It's a funny name. Is a 3/3 with Devoid for 2 and a green. So
Ooh.
3/3 for 3 is fine.
That's
even in
really
green.
good. I'm fine.
It's got Flash.
I love Flash. Flash is fantastic. We already talked about Flash.
For 3 mana, you can surprise eat something.
Oh, yeah.
And then when you cast it...
There's more?
Yeah. You may pay colorless. If you do, you get a Scion.
Nice.
Let me read this fully. If you do, put a Scion onto the battlefield for each non-token creature that died under your control this turn.
Oh, wow.
So, if you play this post-combat, after a bunch of things have traded, you get a bunch of Scions.
That's pretty sweet.
I think that's not as sweet as playing it or in the middle of combat and eating something.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're behind and you had to make a bunch of bad blocks or whatever, then that is good. It still costs an extra mana. So I don't know how much I'm going to use that. I'm probably just going to flash it in end of turn or flash it in on blocks and eat a creature.
3 for 3 for 3 is pretty damn good.
Yeah, I think that's B- right there. I don't think it's better than that, though. What do you think?
No, I agree.
Okay. And I believe that's green. Oh, no. Am I missing? I am missing. Okay. World Breaker is another 7-drop. It's 6 and a green for a 5/7 Devoid. And when you cast it, exile target artifact, enchantment, or land.
Okay.
And it's got reach.
Ooh.
I hate it when the keywords are sort of floating in the middle there.
Yep, that's where I get lazy and miss it.
So a 5/7 with reach for 7 is pretty good, I think. It attacks well, it blocks real well.
And you get to exile something that might be a problem for you.
Yep, an artifact, enchantment, or land.
Yep.
So you could exile, say, a quarantine field, get your creatures back.
Or a manland.
Or a manland. Or just a land to keep them off a color.
Yep.
Or they're only wastes and keep them off of their colorless mana, or whatever. And it also has another ability, 2 and a colorless and sack a land, return it from the graveyard to your hand.
Oh, that's going to be annoying.
Yeah. So I don't know how many times you can reliably do that, because it is 7 mana to cast it, but that ability doesn't make it any worse for having it. I put it at a B. You know what? No. I'm going to put it in an A-.
Really?
I think if you drop this when you're behind, it does enough to stabilize you.
Well, it's only one creature. If they have a board full of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, alright.
Maybe a B+ then.
Okay.
Alright, I'm going to go B+. Where are you going to put it?
I don't think I like them as much as you do.
Okay.
I haven't seen any artifact that I care to get rid of. Enchantment, yes, there are a few. Land, definitely. The reach, yeah, B minus.
B minus.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know.
So. where
B,
are we
B
next?
minus.
Oh, we're into the color or the multicolored
Ooh,
creatures.
I like that art.
Yeah.
So we're into the gold cards now.
We're into the multicolor cards. So before we go there, green. Green was big.
Mm-hmm.
It had some small aggressive creatures. It had a lot of stabilizing plays. So I think all in all it was pretty good.
So just looking at the creatures, do you think it looks like green maybe making a comeback?
I do. I really think so. We won't know again until we see the non-creature spells.
Yeah.
But I think it makes all of the green things from Battle for Zendikar a little better.
Good.
All right, so on to Baloth Null. It is a 4/5 zombie beast
Zombie.
for 4 black green.
Ooh, Golgari.
So those stats are okay.
Yeah.
But when it enters the battlefield, return up to 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. So that basically draws you 2 real cards.
Yep.
By the time you drop a 6-drop, at least 2 of your creatures should have died.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're both 2/2s, you can play them both next turn.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, he seems okay.
I think he's actually pretty good. Uh-oh. I lost my list.
Whoa.
Whoa.
He seems to do what Golgari wants to do, which is
Totally.
graveyard recursion stuff.
He's not one I think I'm going to want to ramp out very often.
No.
Because he's you want to let things get into the
Well,
graveyard.
yeah, you don't want him till later game.
But at that stage, I think he's a B minus.
Yeah, I could see that. The
Maybe
ability
a solid B. I don't know.
the ability to come down and pull 2 things.
He does draw 2 cards.
Yeah.
I think that people are going to rate him higher than that, but the 2 cards that he gets back aren't necessarily going to be great, but they are 2 cards.
Yeah, fair enough.
He does draw 2 cards.
Yeah, it seems fair.
He's
Alright.
also 2 colors.
Yeah.
So he's not like a first pick. Maybe he is. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Cliffhaven Vampire.
Ooh, sexy vampire man.
I think this is a first pick.
Tell me about him.
He is 2 white black, so 4 mana for a 2/4 flyer.
Okay.
And whenever you gain life, each opponent loses 1 life.
What is his creature type?
He is a vampire warrior ally.
Yeah, he is.
So this works with ally abilities.
Mm-hmm.
This works with the sack a
Gangrene?
vampire ability from that trader of Get.
I thought it was... Oh, it was sack a vampire or,
Or a
a zombie. Yeah.
But I don't really think I want to sack him because I'd kind of like to beat down with him.
Yeah, he's in the game train.
I think I would first pick this guy. I would probably be wrong to do so, though.
Oh, I don't think so.
No?
I think he's great.
Yeah? He is 2 colors.
He's fairly easy to build around. Not build around, but build up. Like,
Okay.
There's a lot of white allies. There are some decent black allies just for the ally part of the game.
He also blocks really well.
Lots of flyers. Yeah.
So where do you put him?
I'd give him a B.
You'd give him a B?
A big old B for baby.
I had him a C+, but I think he's a B minus. I think you're right. He is 2 colors.
Yeah.
But
Here's the thing
I think
too.
he does enough.
This is where my weakness in limited is. I don't mind first picking 2 colors. I like to know where I am from the beginning. I don't mind. I always stay open. I
Okay.
don't mind deciding, nah, that's not where I want to go. But if I don't have a really amazing rare or mythic,
Okay.
I don't mind picking him because, worst case, you don't play him. But he's really good.
Okay. Flayer Drone is 1 black-red for a 3/1 devoid with first strike. It's an Eldrazi drone.
Yep.
So a 3/1 with first strike for 3 is pretty good. Whenever another colorless creature enters the battlefield under your control, target opponent loses 1 life.
Interesting.
So this is obviously best in the colorless deck.
Yeah, the black-red devoid deck.
Yeah, or the full-on Grixis devoid deck if you get the fixing for it. Do you think Jund devoid is a thing?
Dunno.
So how do you break this down?
Take out the colorless creature aspect and look at it from there, keeping in mind that it's 1 and 2 other colors.
So 3/1 first strike for 3?
Yes, in 2 colors.
So where do you put it?
I would probably put it at a solid C. It's good.
All right.
The first strike on a 3/1 is really good.
I think it's a C+. I don't think it's any higher than that. But I think that, like you say, 3 power first strike is pretty good.
Mm-hmm. And then if you get it in the deck that really would like it, that's really nice.
Jiraga Auxiliary is 1 green-white for a 2/3 elf soldier ally. And then she's got 4 green-white support 2. That's really good in late game stalls.
Yep.
I like when you're top decking, if you draw a land, you can do that. I don't think the ability affects the card much as far as playability. I think it's just a C.
Yep.
I think 2 colors makes it a C-. I think that ability makes it a C+. Make it a C. It's not going to be a high pick. If you're in those colors already, you're going to snap it up and be happy. Mind Melter, I think, is one of the best names of the set.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
It's a 2/2 for 1 blue-black. Devoid. Can't be blocked.
I like that.
So it's a 2/2 flyer for 3.
Sort of.
So I like that quite a bit. It's an Eldrazi drone, and you can pay 3 and a colorless. Target opponent exiles a card from his or her hand.
Ooh.
Activate this ability only when you would activate a sorcery.
Interesting.
Cast a sorcery. So
it enables
I don't put much stock in that ability.
I'm looking at it more from a processing standpoint, not from a getting their good thing out of their hand.
Well,
standpoint.
The funny thing is, you play it on turn 3. You could do this on turn 4.
I would want to drop a creature on turn 4. Thank you.
Sure. But you could do this on turn 4, especially if they had 1 card in hand and it was their 5-drop. You know. But then again, you develop your board, and then they start ramping up to something, or they have 1 card in hand. It's not a bad time to do that.
Yep.
So, I think the fact that it's a 2/2 unblockable for 3 makes it pretty good on its own.
Yeah.
I put it at a C+.
Yep, I could see that. And making it unblockable means you can still use it and be less likely for it to die before you can use its ability.
True.
And if nothing else, they might get scared and want to use good removal on it.
Yeah. Probably. Maybe. I don't know. Reflector Mage is another 2/3 for 3. 1 white-blue, in this case. Human Wizard. Not an ally here. When it enters the battlefield, return target creature an opponent controls to its owner's hand. That creature's owner can't cast spells with the same name as that creature until your next turn. So it bounces something, and they can't immediately replay it.
Cool. It's
I
kind of
really want to
interesting.
bounce a land creature with this, because I think that would be really good value. I think this does enough that it's a B.
Yeah?
I think it's a Man of War. I think Marshall's going to go crazy over it.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, I think it's just a B.
Yeah. It's pretty neat.
Where do you put it? B?
Yeah, the same.
All right. Relentless Hunter. 1 red-green for a 3/3, which is bigger than the others in this cycle. Human Warrior, also not an ally. It's riding some sort of elemental dinosaur thing. That's pretty cool. For 1 red-green, you can give it +1/+1 and trample until end of turn.
Ooh.
So that's pretty sweet.
That is pretty sweet.
A 3/3 for 3 is fine. Giving it +1/+1 and trample, even if you do that on your next turn, like if you don't draw land, can't cast your 4-drop, I think that's probably going to eat something.
Yeah, and later game, dump your extra mana into that.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So where do you put it?
If green is viable, because I wouldn't have given you much for it last.
Last set?
Yeah. I think it can fit in the B- there.
All right. That's exactly where I put it.
Really?
I think it sounds like a B, but it is in 2 colors.
That's the thing, right?
Right. So, yeah. Storm Chaser Mage. He looks like he's right out of the Is It League.
Yep.
Blue-red for a 1/3 with flying, haste, and prowess.
Sign me up.
He's also a human wizard. Yeah,
It's good.
he's got evasion.
In it's well placed, with prowess being there.
I think there was something earlier in blue that I said I'd prefer a 2/2 flyer for 3 to a 1/3 for 2, and I still feel that way. But it's not like it's bad.
No, I think it's quite good because really it's blue-red. You're going to be in those colors to be casting it, and that's where you're going to have the spells more likely than not. So you're probably going to trigger prowess.
Okay. And he also works with Surge pretty well because he's only 2 mana. Where do you put it?
I think he's a solid C.
Yeah, I put him in the C. All right. Void Grafter is, I believe, our... no, I think there's one more. He's 1 green-blue for a 2/4.
Okay, that seems good.
Seems good. He's devoid, and he's got flash.
Oh, you flashes. I love them.
I love that. He blocks really well at that point. And he's also 3 mana, which is the sweet spot for leaving up a counter spell. If they don't cast something you want to counter, just play him end of turn.
Yeah. Does it do anything else?
It does. When he enters the battlefield, another target creature you control gains hexproof until end of turn.
Oh, let the fun begin.
Yeah. So, if they cast something you don't want to counter, like a removal spell, you can also just give the creature hexproof.
It's good.
Seems real good. Yeah. I think it's really efficient. I think I would probably first pick this card.
Really?
I like cards like this. Where do you put it?
B-.
I have it at a B-.
That's weird.
That's cool. All right, this is our last uncommon in this cycle.
Oh, he's a dude, bro.
He's totally a dude, bro. He is Weapons Trainer, a human soldier ally at 3/2 for red, white.
And what's he sitting at? Uncommon?
Uncommon. I think he's exactly the 2-drop you want to cast.
Yep.
He's also got an ability, other creatures you control get +1/+0 as long as you control an equipment. So whatever. Pick up an equipment if you want to, but I think he's fine at a 3/2 for 2. If red white allies is a thing, which I think it might be, then this
He
is
might
good.
make me want to play that equipment that's borderline playable, you know?
Maybe.
But I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, if you pick up an equipment late in the pack, then
Yeah, I'm not a huge equipment fan. That'd be pretty good.
I love good equipment. We just don't see
it.
good equipment
Yeah,
anymore.
It's true.
So where do you put him?
He's a C.
Really? Only a C?
Maybe a C plus.
I put him in a C plus. I didn't want to go like B minus or anything because he has 2 colors.
Yeah.
But if you can cast him on turn 2, then that's big game. Okay, on to the rares. Eiley, Eternal Pilgrim. I love creatures like this because she has been mentioned in flavor text in the original Zendikar, and now
we get to see her.
we get to see her,
Mm-hmm.
much like Noyandar. So she is white-black for a 2/3.
And what is her type?
She's a core cleric.
More importantly?
She's legendary?
Yeah.
Okay. So yes, she is legendary. That's not going to come into play in
Not
Limited
for
too much.
limited, but
Yeah.
all
So
the
she's
information.
a core cleric. She's a 2/3 for 2 with Death Touch.
It does come into play. Because you can only have one on the field. Not that you're going to get to, but, you know.
Yeah, but well, I don't think it really matters that much in Limited. Because she's a first pick, you're not likely to get 2 of them.
He says you're telling that to the person who has opened 2
2
before.
ones.
Yeah. 2 rares before.
2 of the same rare?
Yeah.
Well,
Of course
yeah.
they weren't that good, but still.
So at just 2/3 for 2 with Death Touch, I think that's already like
Really good.
B plus. She also has 2 abilities.
Oh dear.
Pay 1, sacrifice another creature, gain life equal to the creature's toughness.
Okay.
So that's fine. You can blank removal, you can blank threaten effects, you can,
You can have a
Whatever.
reason of
sack outlets are
reason
fine.
for running that 2/5 that you really didn't want to reuse.
Yeah. And 1 white-black, sack another creature. Exile target non-land permanent. Activate this ability only if you have at least 10 life more than your starting life total. So that's a win more ability. If you can do it, it's nuts. It's great. You just start removing their whole board, but that's not going to happen.
No.
Basically, she's a 2/3 Death Touch for 2, and I think that puts her at a B plus.
Yeah.
I think she's that good.
I think she's a B.
You think she's a B?
Yeah.
All right.
We've had she's in white black, and we've had a lot of just black Death Touch creatures that they're fine. They're
We haven't
good.
seen much Death Touch
Not in the
this
set, but like in general.
Oh, okay.
But this is in 2 colors, so
Okay. Jory N, Ruin Diver,
interesting.
is another 2/3 for 3, this time 1 blue-red. Legendary creature, Merfolk Wizard.
Wizard.
So the rares aren't allies. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, draw a card.
You said it was a 2/3, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So this works with Surge, but how often are you casting 2 spells each turn?
More likely in a red blue deck, but
Okay.
not a whole ton.
If you are casting 2 spells each turn on a turn, then drawing a card makes it more likely you're going to do it again, so it kind of feeds itself in that way, which is nice. But I don't put too much stock in that happening, so I just kind of want to give her a C. Maybe a C plus, but I just don't see it happening that consistently.
Mm-hmm.
So where do you put it?
C.
C?
Mm-hmm.
Mina and Den, Wildborn.
Ooh, they're nice looking.
2 red-green for a legendary creature, elf ally. And it's a 4/4 for 4.
Sweet.
You may play an additional land on each of your turns.
Ooh.
So there's your ramp.
Oh, that's so good.
This works really well with landfall. It works really well to ramp.
Man, oh man.
And there's another ability. Red-green, return a land you control to its owner's hand. Target creature gains trample until end of turn.
Oh.
So that's fantastic. You can pay red-green and return one of the lands you just tapped to your hand, and then play it again to get the landfall trigger.
This is a landfall dream card.
It definitely is. That being said, I think it's more of a win more card than anything else. It is a 4/4 for 4, which is great. It's in 2 colors, which work together and really want those abilities.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of it?
I like it a lot. It's not in colors I usually play together.
No?
Not really.
I think you should give them a try.
Yeah, I should. But the additional land each turn can get you ahead.
Can get you ahead, or can just keep triggering landfall.
Yeah, and I'm not even looking at the landfall port. That's really good too. But just as far as land goes, it helps when you flood it out, and even if you haven't, getting your lands down quicker, you're ahead of your opponent.
Or even just play your single land, activate the ability, return a land to your hand, play that land again, and use it again.
Yep.
So
sure.
That's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I put them at a B-. I
put them at a B, or maybe even a B+.
You put them in a B+? All right.
Yeah.
You're probably right. I don't think it's quite a... Well, they might be. I'm going to be conservative and leave them at a B range. So, me B-, you B+.
Yep.
Sounds good. All right. Moving on to colorless creatures. We have our first, our last, our only artifact creature.
Oh my god, it's so cute.
Isn't it?
Look how tiny it is. It's sitting on his shield. I want one. Can I have one?
Oh, it is too.
Look at there's
That's cool.
there's his feet. Can we have
Okay.
one?
I'd be okay with having one of these. Yeah.
All right.
2 mana, 2 generic mana, for an 0/1, which
Huge
isn't
on
great.
crawler. What does it do though?
You can tap it to add colorless to your mana pool.
Yeah. Okay.
I like it okay. It's easy to interrupt. Like, it dies to anything.
Well, don't swing with it.
But I mean, like, your opponents can kill it just
Sure.
without even spending a card a lot of the time. If there's any -1 abilities, or if there's like give everything -1 or deal 1 to like 3 creatures or whatever. So
I mean, sure, I'd rather this be on an artifact, not an artifact creature. But
it's flimsy.
yeah, but I still think it, for those that want that deck, that consistent
Yeah.
colorless mana, I think it's fine.
It's a good way to generate colorless mana.
And it's 2 to drop, which is nice, and it's common.
When usually ramp like this is 3
Yeah.
nowadays. 2 is much better than that.
You could
So-
pick up 1 or 2.
Where do
Go
you
for the
put
draft.
it?
I give it a C.
You give it a C?
Yeah.
I don't know what I was thinking. I had it at a D, but it's obviously better than that. If you want this effect, you're going to want it. If you don't want this effect, then I don't think it's that good.
Then it's not playable. Like, I
So-
wouldn't put it.
It's not built around itself, but it's a D if you don't want colorless mana, and it's a B if you do. So I think you're right.
Yeah.
It's probably a C. You put it a C, right?
Yeah. And I think people will understand that just because I'm saying it's a C, it doesn't mean I'm going to put it in a deck that doesn't need colorless mana. I'm not running it, I'm not drafting it if I don't need it.
What about just to ramp you from 2 to 4, play a 4-drop on turn 3.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Yeah,
good.
I could totally see that too.
Alright.
That's true.
Okay. Here we have our first actual colorless creature. It's a 6-drop, 5/5 Eldrazi.
And it's generic mana.
Right.
It's not colorless mana.
But it has a colorless activated ability.
Yeah.
Target creature can't block Kozilek's Pathfinder this turn.
Eek. Eek. It's a 5/5 for 6, which is fine.
Yeah, that's true.
The one colorless to make it unblockable
Yeah,
on their whatever creature is,
that's true. I have it at a C.
Yeah.
I think it's just sort of playable.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. It's also one of the few colorless creatures that doesn't take colorless mana. It just takes generic mana to cast. Like this one here, Walker of the Wastes, is 4 generic and 1 colorless for a 4/4. So you're going to need a way of actually casting this.
Yep. Just like having 2 color. It's like having a 2 color spell.
It's sort of like having a splash card in your deck.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a 4/4 with trample. And
Which is good.
It gets +1/+1 for each land you control named Wastes.
So if you happen to pick one up, it's just a little added bonus.
So this is, I think, the only reason I would have Wastes in my deck. Any other deck that I want colorless mana, I'm going to try to find some other way of casting it.
Mm-hmm.
But with this, I think I take Wastes a little higher. I think it's a C+.
4/4 for 5 with
It's a
trample.
4/4 for 5 with trample.
Yeah.
Warden of Geometries is a 2/3 for 4, and this one does just take generic mana.
Okay.
It's got Vigilance,
Oh, that's nice.
and you can tap it to add colorless to your mana pool.
Oh, count me in.
Yeah,
And it's
totally.
a common.
Yeah, so this is what I actually want.
I want...
It blocks, it generates mana. This is what I want to use my colorless abilities.
Yeah, he's a C+ for me.
C+, eh?
Yeah.
I put him at a C, but he's probably a C+. You're probably right. Alright, moving right along. Deceiver of Form.
What is that? Oh.
6 and a colorless for an 8/8 Eldrazi at rare. So we're on to the rares.
An 8/8 for 7. Okay.
At the beginning of combat on your turn, reveal the top card of your library. If a creature card is revealed this way, you may have creatures you control other than Deceiver of Form become copies of that card until end of turn. You may put that card on the bottom of your library.
Wow, that's interesting.
So at the beginning of your turn, scry one.
Yeah.
Your opponent gets to see what it is. If it's a creature, you can make other creatures copies of it.
So if it's a better creature than what's on your battlefield, if it's a 4/4 and you're sporting a bunch of 3/2s and 2/2s,
or scions or whatever,
scions, yeah.
then you can make them all bigger and enable an attack. So it's great in a board stall. And if it's not a creature, it doesn't do anything. But you can either choose to draw it next turn or put it on the bottom of your library.
So you don't lose anything by doing it.
Right. So it's an 8/8 for 7 with an ability.
I want to play with this guy. He just looks really interesting.
I think the card selection will be worthwhile. I think 7 mana is not that hard to get to. I had him at an A-, but I think that's too high. I think he's probably just a B. Where do you want to put him?
That's a good question. if I have a deck that has that colorless mana easily available to me,
Yep.
then I'm putting him at a B+, because the other mana is generic. So whatever I have doesn't matter. I just need 6 of it. It's easy to get to 7 mana.
Where I really want him is a ramp deck.
Yeah,
He'd
that'd be
great in a
gross.
ramp deck.
He's an 8/8. That's a great big butt.
You know what I want to do? I want to bounce a creature I control to the top of my library and then flip it up. Like a 12/12.
Oh, that's gross.
It sounds terrible, but
Living
I
the
wanna do
dream, living the dream.
it. So, sorry, where did you put him?
Put him. Did I say a B?
A B? Okay.
Maybe I said a
Yeah.
B+, a B.
I'm going to go
Nice.
B-. I just think he's kind of dumb, but reasonable. So, yeah. Eldrazi Mimic. This is the rare Eldrazi that doesn't require colorless mana.
Okay.
2 generic for a 2/1 Eldrazi.
Yep.
Whenever another colorless creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may change Eldrazi Mimic's base power and toughness to that creature's power and toughness until end of turn.
Cool. And it's a May ability, so
It's-
you don't have to.
It's a May ability. I'm not putting much stock in that unless you're in the deck that really wants it. I don't think he's a high pick as a piker on its own, but I do like it a lot.
He'd be fun
Yeah, he'd be fun.
in a colorless.
He'd
deck.
also be fine in a red aggressive deck.
Sure.
So, I don't know. I put him at a C. He's just a C.
Yeah.
He's a fine
You know what's
card.
interesting? I find that sometimes I'm lured by the art color. We're sitting looking at a colorless creature, and I am looking at it, and I'm thinking, how would it work in a green deck?
Yeah, right.
Because it's predominantly green. And
Interesting.
you said red, and I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah, I think he's
Right.
better in a red deck. But,
Yeah.
no, I get you completely. All right, Endbringer.
Ooh, I like that name.
We're getting close to the end. 5 and a colorless for a 5/5. So a 5/5 for 6, that's fine. Eldrazi. Untap him during each other player's untap step.
Oh.
So he's got pseudo vigilance.
Yep.
You can tap him to deal 1 damage to target creature or player.
Oh.
So this is a pinger.
Yep.
Pingers are notoriously good.
So you can swing at him for 5, pass the turn, untap him, at the end of his turn, ping.
Yep, and
Oh.
possibly block.
Good gravy.
For a colorless and tapping him, target creature can't attack or block this turn.
Oh,
So
nice.
he's also a tapper. And for colorless and tapping him, draw a card.
Oh my goodness.
This is insane.
That's a bonkers card.
I think this is a straight up A+.
He, in a colorless deck, he is just all
There's just so much you can do with this
over
card.
the place. He's, wow.
Where do you put him?
Put him at an A. He's,
An A?
he's just, yeah.
All right, I'm saying A+.
He's
I
got
just
big,
think
strong shoulders. He's carrying a lot of stuff.
he's not my favorite card in the set, but he's absolutely first pick.
Yeah, absolutely. He's pretty cool.
My favorite card is still the white tapper,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
flickerer, rather.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, there he is.
Here's the headliner of the set,
There's the big
Kozilek,
guy.
the Great Distortion.
Nice art, too.
8, colorless. So let's put that in perspective. This is a 2 mana splash. Because you're going to need consistently 2 colorless mana.
Yeah.
Now, it's not that difficult because there are scions running around, and if
Yeah.
you first pick Kozilek, which you will, you're going to prioritize
Yep.
scions. So, all right. He is a legendary creature, Eldrazi. He is a 12/12 for 10.
It really should stop right there because you don't really need to say much more, but he does stuff.
When you cast him, he doesn't even need to resolve. If you have fewer than 7 cards in your hand, draw cards equal to the difference. So if you have him in your hand, which you probably will, you draw 7 cards.
Good gravy.
He's got Menace.
Oh, come on, wizard. That's just mean.
And a weird ability, discard a card with converted mana cost X. Counter target spell with converted mana cost X.
That's just random.
So it's random. It's probably not going to happen, but it might.
Yeah.
I'd prefer to probably cast my spells, but whatever. He's a 12/12 with Menace that draws you, like, let's say 5 cards.
Yeah.
That's just insane.
Madness.
He is hard to cast, so I'm only putting him at an A, not an A+.
Yeah. Can we conceivably ramp him up?
Oh, yeah. He's going to be the premium ramp target, right?
Yeah, he's pretty good.
But I think he's definitely going to win games.
Oh, I think so.
All right. Ooh. Matter Reshaper.
I rather like him, the look of him, like the
He looks
artwork.
great, yeah.
He's nice.
2 and a colorless for an Eldrazi. He's a 3/2.
Sure.
So a 3/2 for 3.
Yep.
Whatever. When he dies, reveal the top card of your library. You may put that card onto the battlefield if it's a permanent with CMC 3 or less. Otherwise, put it into your hand.
Oh, that's sweet.
So at the worst, he's a 3/2 that draws you a card when he dies, which he will, trading with something.
That's just sweet.
That's totally fine. I would probably first pick this.
Yeah, he's really good. What do you want, Cat?
I'm gonna call it a B.
Yep, I'm with you.
Reality Smasher is a 5/5 Eldrazi for 4 and a colorless.
Okay.
He's got Trample.
Mm-hmm.
He's got Haste.
Oh, baby.
And when he becomes the target of a spell an opponent controls, counter that spell unless its controller discards a card.
Ooh.
So he's an onboard 2-for-1, basically.
Oh, he's gonna be an annoyance.
He can just be a 1-for-1 if you ram him into something big, but he's probably going to have to be double blocked. He's a 5/5 with Trample and Haste, so he's a 5/5 swinging on turn 5. I think he's excellent. Efficient. I'm calling him an A-. Where do you want to put him?
I'm gonna put him at a B.
You're going to put him at a B?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
He's a 5/5 for 5 with Trample and Haste.
Okay.
But that one is colorless.
All right.
So,
Fair enough.
But he seems pretty cool. Oh my goodness.
I'm
He's
going to
a thing.
nickname this guy. This is the Thought Not Seer. But whenever I cast him, I'm going to say, I thought not. 3 and a colorless for a 4/4.
Sure.
Right? He's an Eldrazi.
Yep.
When Thought Not Seer enters the battlefield, target opponent reveals his or her hand. You choose a non-land card from it and exile that card.
Cool.
When Thought Not Seer leaves the battlefield, target opponent draws a card. So they can be different targets if you are in multiplayer.
Yep.
I think this is a pretty good ability. You wanted to cast that? I thought not.
It's a 4/4 for 4
Which
with an almost Thoughtseize.
has a Thoughtseize and lets your opponent draw a card if they kill this.
If they can kill it.
On turn 4, I think that's really good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to put it at B+, because it does let them draw a card back.
Yeah, I had him at a B.
It's good with processors from battle. So whatever. B+. Yeah. And that's the creatures.
Wowzers.
Those are the creatures for Oath of the Gatewatch.
I'm getting really excited.
Yeah, I think it looks really good.
Do you feel that it looks kind of balanced? Are you sensing that
I am
there's
sensing
some
that.
pretty meaty stuff in all the colors?
I think so, yeah. I think it's fairly balanced as far as creatures go, but we won't know what things really look like until tomorrow when we check out the non-creature spells.
Yep.
So for now, thanks for watching. And
for watching. Oh yeah, they did watch the one time. I don't say thanks for watching. Jeez.
And hopefully we'll see you tomorrow where we rank all of the non-creature spells. If you enjoyed this video, You can like it. Please like it. Share it with your friends. It never hurts to get another opinion on a set before the pre-release. You can subscribe to our channel, where we will be uploading new videos every week. And check us out on the web at cardadvantagemtg.blogspot.ca.
And please comment and talk and help us out, because this is our first set review. So we'd love to hear back what you have to say. Keep it civil. I know people like to argue, and that's cool. But just let us know what you think.
Yeah.
Help us learn.
Yeah.
So,
Thanks very much. See you next time.